I'm going to bring the guys straight in. This week on the podcast, we're talking about Hawkeye, episodes 1 and 2. And also, we're going to get into some other news from the week. And if the guys have anything to bring up, or if anyone in the chat has anything to bring up, any news from the week, please let me know. Thank you very much. And I'll let the guys introduce themselves. Here we go. If you're following us on YouTube, guys, make sure you hit like. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. I'll let the guys introduce themselves. Gentlemen.
Oh, hey.
Hey.
I fixed it.
Welcome back, Batman.
I know. Bro, like seriously. Fuck. What annoys me so much about shit like that is the fact that it was working for me perfectly fine yesterday. Mm-hmm. Like no problems whatsoever. And today it just absolutely has a shit fit. You know?
Well, you made the mistake of doing absolutely nothing at all. Lesson learned.
That is true. That is true.
I fixed the Windows thing.
Storm the gates. Oh, I can hear you guys perfectly now. Like it's like honestly, I don't know if you were listening to my stream, but on the stream it wasn't being picked up at all. Oh my god. And
what was it? Do you know?
I basically downloaded the latest version of Discord and was flicking around in the settings, and there's a setting under the audio settings that basically just says reset everything, and I did that, and it seemed to bring everything back. So I don't know. I like reset everything back to default. You know,
yeah.
that seemed to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
But
sometimes
now,
you just gotta reset the modem, man.
Yeah, this is it. Trade secrets. Are you hearing me okay? Like, is my audio coming across okay?
Oh yeah, you're coming up perfect.
Yeah? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, now that crisis is over, we can get into what we're here for. Chatting shit about Marvel.
We're Marvelous Chats now.
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah.
No longer Tech TV.
Yeah, so, like, I suppose let's just dive straight into Hawkeye. How did you guys rate the first 2 episodes? Are we going to talk about them one by one, or do you want to just go in it as like an entirety or whatever?
Let's go like 1 and then 2, and then we'll talk about like kind of the show overall so far and like kind of our thoughts and as like, you know, what we think about the future where the show is like settling in as a whole, I think.
All right.
I would say episode 1 of Hawkeye definitely is my favorite first episode of any Disney Plus MCU show. I think I would assume that all of us were just like little giddy phase 1 schoolboys.
Yeah.
When it opened up in 2012 at this Battle for New York, whatever it was called, and we get to see a different perspective from young Kate Bishop's perspective, as we got to focus in on Hawkeye, looking a little bit more heroic than he usually does because we didn't focus on any other heroes.
Yeah, like I really I found that if that was a very interesting perspective because the way that she, like her point of view is she sees him as the most badass human being, like badass hero on the planet. He's like doing all this crazy arrow shit and he's like jumping off the building and he's like swinging in and he lands like a pro. But then when you see it from his perspective, it's the opposite. He's ran out of arrows. He's in trouble. He's jumping off the thing. And then when he goes through the glass, he's on the ground and he's like dying. He's in bits, like, you know. So I thought it was very clever that, you know, her perspective as a young child, seeing this man, just a normal dude who saved her life, changed the course of her life, you know. And I just thought that was very, very clever the way they did it, just showing what we've seen. Every time I see 2012, I'm like, here we go again, we're back in New York, you know. But it's like we're seeing it from like just the slightest different perspective of like a young child, and it just like the whole thing is like Hawkeye's whole story that day is just completely different to her, you know. So yeah. I thought that was great.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that part as well. Like, it reminds me of how much the audience really only sees all the epicness, whereas, you know, like at the end of it, even for like Captain Rogers, like he would be like aching at the end of it, and you know, he'd be like very, very hurt. But we don't see that. We just see the epicness, and as kids, and like, you know, me growing up and loving the Hulk and, wanting to see the Hulk in action all the time, that's always a great thing to see as far as being like a big fan of like your favorite character. And I love how that sets her in motion for wanting to be the same hero that she sees in front of her, and just deciding like, I'm going to be a hero. And that's exactly what we all want to be like when we grew up.
Yeah, I love that scene because, it does what Tony Stark had when he was in the cave. Like, the old man or the scientist sacrifices his life so Tony can live and gives him like a purpose in life, right? Spiderman, he with his Uncle Ben, he let the guy go and then like comes back. Like, these are things in superhero movies that there's a reason we want their motivation and why they're superhero and why they go the extra mile when other people wouldn't. And that's something that I feel Hawkeye hasn't had his entire time in the MCU, right? Like, we really don't know why Hawkeye does the things he does. Like, what's his drive? What's his motivating factor? And they just like set up Kate Bishop like they used to set up all the other heroes in like phase 1. And something that we haven't really gotten in a long time. Like, I don't think we got that for Captain Marvel. I don't think we got that for Shang-Chi. I don't think we didn't get that for the Eternals. But like Kate Bishop here, she sees Hawkeye saving New York, saving her home on the day that her dad dies. Like, huge motivating factor. And probably just such a good setup for her character in the show.
Do you think the wife or the mother had anything to do with the father's death?
Ooh. I don't think so. Do you know something we don't?
I don't, but I've just heard a lot of people talking about it, and it makes a lot of sense. And my girlfriend mentioned something about it when we were watching it too. She kind of said like, that's a bit shifty. Like, you see them having the big argument, and then he's like, I'm going downstairs, and she's like, the mother's then like, don't go downstairs to the daughter or something like that, as if she's trying to cover something up or something. I'm not too sure. Like, I think what some people are saying is like potentially she used the events of what was happening to maybe get rid of him or something like that. Now, it's a bit of a stretch, obviously. You can't really plan for like an alien invasion or anything, or go, oh my god, this is the exact moment, let's go kill him now. Like, it's a bit ridiculous. But I wouldn't be surprised if she had something to do with it. She does seem like a bit of a sketchy character.
I swear, if I have to murder somebody in life, I just hope I have the luckiness to have an alien invasion happen on the same day. It would be so nice. Really.
Yeah, like Max in the chat, I have a feeling that Kate's mom's going to have some crazy huge plot twist. I think she's going to be like involved with Kingpin or something. I think it's going to be something crazy like that.
Yeah. And usually anytime we don't see a character, like if they're dead off screen, that's a big like question mark.
Exactly. It's like,
we're always going to question that.
I need to see a body,
Yeah.
Yeah. Or he'll come back. He'll come back and he'll be like his face will be all fucked up because it's like, he escaped just barely with his life and got crushed or something, or there'll be something like that'll happen for sure.
I think something with that too. And just because, like you said, there's no body. I probably think he has something to do with S.H.I.E.L.D., something to do with the broader MCU universe, with Bishop Securities. Like in my head, because he seemed like the kind of, like her mom seemed kind of like just like a housewife taking care of the kid in the opening scene.
Yeah.
And I could be wrong about that and just read it wrong. But I would suspect that like her dad is the one who ran Bishop Securities. He dies, and his wife ran with him. But then she like took over as like the CEO.
Yeah.
And him having that penthouse, he's rich as hell. You're doing something.
Yeah,
if you got
exactly.
that, if you're that high up in New York City and you got a view of the Stark Tower, like you got some real money going on in the world.
Oh, hell yeah.
So I really want to see who her dad actually is in the MCU outside of just being Kate Bishop's dad. Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. What do you make of the boyfriend? Or the mother's boyfriend? He's
Jack?
Yeah, he's obviously sketchy. He's lying about stuff. I loved when they had the jousting competition or whatever it's called.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, I know you're lying to me. Tell me what you're lying about. And he's like, okay, yeah, look, I'm not being as good. Like, I'm not showing my full skill. And I thought that's like very clever of Kate Bishop's character. Like, she's able to kind of read people very well. And like, it's kind of, they're just them very clever showing more of her skill. You know what I mean? Like we hear that she was doing karate from straight after the event pretty much, and getting black belts, and obviously winning archery competitions and being considered the greatest archer in the world and blah blah blah. and then it's like actually she's a detective now as well. So it's like she's a badass. Like, you know, it's
Real
really
quick,
cool.
when they were like, you had a black belt at the age of like 15 or whatever, I was like, so did my older brother. Who did it? They were just handing the things out, bro. Like,
Yeah, he's the Mex is like, you know who he is, right? He's the swordsman. Yeah, so
the swordsman.
I don't really know too much about the character in the comics or anything. I haven't really encountered him too much. So for me, it's kind of a new character to explore. To be honest. I don't really know much about him.
One thing is after the cold opening, and what did you guys think of the intro?
Love
you know, when they
the
it
animation.
it was so beautiful.
It was great. It was great, and I think the one at the start of the second episode was even better. There was like that one was even better. Yeah, I love it. I love that whole style because again, it's drawing deeply from like the comic books because like it's all the same colors as the run of comics that it's drawing its references from. So like even the posters that they're bringing out are like they're the exact replicas of some of the original comic book covers, which I'm all for.
Creators, I am too. I hope the creators got compensated because they are such a ripoff. It's like, it's so like it's awesome, but at the same time, it's like, come on, Disney.
Yeah, no, like they have literally just picked out the comic book Hawkeye and just put Jeremy Renner in. Like, you know, it's the exact same art style, it's the exact same color schemes, it's everything. Like, you know, but yeah,
one thing I loved about the intro too, when she was shooting the arrow at the bell tower.
Yeah.
Did I catch that right? It was the Obadiah. Like it was named after Obadiah Stone or whatever from Iron Man 1.
It seems like it was like a Stain monument thing.
Yeah, and it just collapses and crumbles. Like, perfect. Thank you.
So good.
And also with the swordsman, am I the only one picking up like chubby Pedro Pascal vibes from that dude?
Yeah, a little bit actually.
That's a thick Pedro right there.
Pedro's living good.
Yeah, been a couple good years to him. That's why he's not in the Mandalorian. He can't fit in the suit anymore.
Oh my god!
They gotta give the Boba Fett chest extender for him.
Love it.
What'd you guys think of the like musical when they brought Jeremy Renner back in as Hawkeye?
I loved it, man.
Oh my god!
I'm not gonna try and sing the high note, but the "I can do this all day" thing had me crying, laughing, bro. I was rolling around the couch. I thought it was fucking fantastic, and I just loved.
So
what I loved most about it was just how disgusted by the whole thing Hawkeye looked, just sitting in the crowd.
Yep.
You know, and like you can see like the PTSD kind of kicking in, and he's kind of like, you know, reliving it, and he's looking at the actress playing Nat, and he's obviously feeling sorrow for her loss and all. Like, but yeah, I just thought like, you know, it was a proper kind of war hero kind of getting flashbacks and reliving it, like, you know. And it was just, I think the show is just so well shot, and like Hawkeye is such a cool character. And I don't know if you guys, I was telling Hofmvn anyway to watch the Legends episode on Hawkeye. It's like a little 10-minute clip on Disney Plus. They do these kind of recaps, really short recaps on all the characters that are upcoming. So there's like a, you know, I think they started it with Loki, and they kind of moved down through, they started it with Wanda, and then Vision, and then the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So as they're releasing the new shows and new content and movies and stuff, they give you a quick like 10-minute recap on Disney Plus. And the Hawkeye one honestly got me so hyped for this show, just because how they cut everything, all of his appearances, how they put them all together. They just made him look like such a fucking badass. Like, and we were talking about this the other day on your stream, Hofmvn. Like I can't remember how it came up in the chat, but people were saying like, you know, is he that good, or, you know, he's a normal dude? Like, I don't understand what the hype is. And I'm like the exact opposite. Like, for me, I'm like, this is a normal man. He has no powers. He's just got pure fucking skill. He's a class art. Like, he's a world class, if not one of the greatest archers on the planet. He's got great fighting skills, hand combat, like weapons combat, everything. And like, he's a detective. He's got all the street smarts, and like his obviously his fight knowledge and fight sense and all is just unmatched. So much so to the fact that he made the original Avengers team with fucking Thor and the Hulk and Captain America and Iron Man, and we don't need to list them off, but like literally he's there with the A team, like, and he's a normal fucking dude. So for me, that just makes him 10 times, 50 times better. You know what I mean? Like,
he's got that X factor, bro. He's got that thing that's not tangible.
Exactly.
And I saw an interview where this guy was bringing up stats to Jeremy Renner that the Avengers as a whole are 7-0 with Hawkeye when they're fighting with him, and then they're 0 for 4 when Hawkeye's not in the battle. So every time he's not there, they lose.
Oh my god, that's
It's
so
the best
good.
thing.
That's so good, dude.
Like he's not there in the Thanos fight, they lose.
Yeah.
He's on the winning side of the Civil War fight. Like he
Yeah.
wins, man. He's there.
And when he actually does come out of retirement for Endgame, they win.
Yeah. He's got that X factor, bro.
Amen, bro. Amen. And like I suppose, and I think I mentioned this on your stream the other day as well, but I think he's actually a better version of Natasha as well. Like he has more skill than Natasha does. But everybody loves Natasha, like, you know, and I don't think it's just because it's Scarlett Johansson. Like, I think they just care about the character more than they do Hawkeye. But technically, Hawkeye is a more skilled hero, you know? So I love that he's getting his own show. I really hope that this isn't going to be the end of him. Like, I know he's getting on in years, and, you know, how much longer can you do it, really? But I'm not ready for him to go yet. I think we're just getting a kind of a hint or like a taster for him and his own content, and it would be such a fucking shame if he dies in episode 6 or something. Like I would be I would be really annoyed. You know, I want to see him go fully deaf. I kind of want to maybe see like a kind of old man Clint, maybe where he's like proper fully deaf, and you know, like the Old Man Logan comics and stuff like that. That'd be really cool if they dipped into something like that. Who knows, like
I really think the speculation is that he's going to eventually reestablish himself as Ronin, and then let Kate Bishop take over the mantle of Hawkeye. And then we also see, you know, like as he's losing his hearing, it reminds me of when we were talking about the idea behind Marvel characters. They all have disabilities in one way or another, whether it be conditional, physical, or, you know, mental. And that's truly what I love about it. It's that, like, although he's a super badass, he's still a human. He has this whole situation with like dealing with all the explosions, all the loud noises that go about, and eventually, just like, you know, if you were in the war, over time you would slowly lose your hearing from all the loud bangs and noises that you get.
yeah.
Which I think is like a wonderful way to portray an actual human going through something.
Exactly. And if you think about it as well, like he had more kind of battle experience, I suppose, than Natasha did, like at that level, which would kind of like I'd be curious if Nat was still alive and she was like 5 years in the future or whatever, because you got to remember he didn't blip and he lived those 5 years, obviously, you know, continuing to fight and become Ronin and taking down organizations and all this shit, so he never stopped. And I'd be curious if she lived and she didn't stop as well, like would you see something similar, like her having hearing problems? Because it is just, that's the wear and tear of a human person, like, you know, at a like galactic level, like they're at, fighting all these aliens and, you know, fighting robots and all this shit and all the explosions, that, like, yeah, it makes so much sense that his hearing would go just naturally, even just from all that exposure. And I'd just be curious, would Nat have the same sort of thing over time if she actually lived?
So when you guys are saying that Hawkeye is somewhat better than Natasha, I find it interesting because you would think that those widows created within the Red Room should be like top of the top, fantastic. Like there's no one, you know, above them. And here comes Clint, and it makes me wonder like where his training actually came from.
Yeah, because like, you know, did he get all that just from Shield? I doubt it. You know. It seems like, you know, he was a badass before Shield, and it looks like the way I kind of perceive the story going is Shield comes in and, you know, basically defects the Red Room and takes them over, beats the shit out of everybody, and and Natasha's then basically told to like join forces with them or go to prison or whatever, you know. So I would presume she's bested in a fight there, you know, because she defects to Shield, so she would have, you know, most likely got beaten in a fight. So I would say Clint versus Nat. I think Clint wins at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think like Nat really just gets over on Hawkeye in terms of like espionage, right? Like she's definitely like got spycraft going on for her. He's just more of like a intel dude, Overwatch, you know, that type of deal. I would really like to see Clint move on into like more of a Nick Fury role. I think, you know, that Nick Fury goes into space and, you know, he's kind of like an organizer. He's like an overseer. Like, I don't think they'll put him in like a Captain America role. I know he would love that as an actor, but he is kind of that like human leader, on the ground.
Yeah.
If he does more of like a Nick Fury role where he's just like keeping people in touch with each other, keeping the overall plan moving.
Yeah.
I could see that. But I gotta say, one thing I really love about Hawkeye, and I think they really highlight it in the show, is just how absolutely polite the man is at all times. He's so courteous and so patient and so polite with everyone. And then like him with his family, those scenes of them in like the Chinese, getting Chinese food, when he's talking with his wife and stuff, like he's such a family man, and it just comes through in like such a nice way that I don't think we get a lot of in the MCU, because you just don't get that like deep stuff unless it's like the Odin family. Like, that's the only other family we really see.
I love that scene, like where the waiter's like, "Oh, please, the meal is on us. You saved the city," and he's like, "Oh no, I'd really like to pay." Like, and that just shows you what kind of a class act he is. Like, whereas like someone like Tony Stark would be expecting free food, like
Yeah.
how the rich stay rich, eh? But yeah, like I really like the whole Christmas vibe. I think I mentioned to you as well, often the other day. Like, I was like, if this show goes well, this is going to be my new Christmas tradition. Like, I'm gonna watch this show every year at Christmas time. Like, it's like even just from the first 2 episodes, he's going around to the kids like, what's your favorite thing to do at Christmas? We're gonna do it all. It's gonna be the best like trip of your lives, and blah blah blah. And like, you're getting such a Christmas vibe from it. Like, it's great. So
yeah,
I really hope it finishes strong. And if even half the rumors I've heard are true, it's gonna finish very strong.
Like, and it's shot so well, man. Like the way this show, it looks gorgeous. Like this looks like a movie quality lens. They actually took the time. I felt like Falcon and Winter Soldier sometimes kind of looked like a TV show. I felt, WandaVision absolutely looked like a TV show, but this feels like a real freaking movie. And it feels like cinematic, especially like when they cut in stuff from the old Avenger movies.
Yeah.
You're like blown away. And then it's set in New York and it's gorgeous. Like it is that like Home Alone 2 vibe, Christmas in New York, perfect setting. And this first episode really just knocked it out of the park, man. Like I've really not liked anything from the MCU on Disney Plus that much, and I'm sitting there like, why is this that good? Why is this that good?
The like, you can definitely feel like I one of the things I said while I was watching it, I was like, this was absolutely filmed at Christmas time in New York IRL. Like there's no kind of fucking green screens or fake like taking shots from other shit. You can feel like Kate Bishop walking down the streets of New York, and there's like, it's genuinely Christmas. You can see it like in the air, like it's real. Booker Brush, I think I was talking to on socials, he was saying like that the apartment fire seemed like the CGI and all was really shit for that. And if I'm being honest, I didn't get a chance to go back and rewatch it, but I don't know, what did you guys think of that? Like, did that kind of jump out at you as like bad CGI or anything, or like did it look spotty? I didn't notice it, to be honest. Like,
yeah, I didn't notice it either. I think I was just too distracted by all the other effects that were going on.
Yeah, no, it was really like, and I think Hofmvn, we were talking about this on your stream, but like how much of an anticlimactic fight was that after seeing it for so long in the trailers and everything, and it just when it happened, you were just like, oh, okay, that's it. Yeah, moving on.
Yeah, the Molotov throw, like breaking a window to catch a Molotov and throw it back, is like really something badass. That whenever the writer put that down was like probably so happy, like, dude, this is a great scene. This is something unique I've never seen on screen before. And then you see it in the actual TV show, and it just like doesn't land at all, bro. It's just like, yeah, all right,
yeah,
cool, Hawkeye, we know.
Yeah,
just catch Molotovs.
It kind of happened really fast as well. I was kind of like thinking that there might be a bit more of a suspenseful build up to it, but it was like the second one that was thrown. It's like he just smashed it and threw it back out, and I was just like, I've seen that 10 times, so I don't really need to see it again. Like, I was like, okay, like if that they shouldn't have put that in the trailer. They should have maybe shown one successfully like going into the room and landing. They shouldn't have shown that cool shot in the trailer. That was fucking stupid. Like,
yeah. Yep.
The one thing I really loved though about that whole situation was the fact that they were dealing with just street level thugs. It's just straight up like, hey, just bro. These goons. They're nothing but goons.
Yeah. Tracksuit fucking mafia.
They're one of the best parts of the show. They're freaking hilarious, man. I love the Tracksuit Mafia. They're fantastic.
How sick are you going to be of the word bro by the end of it? Like,
please, I'm from Florida. Like, I'm broed all the time. I'm broed out.
It's so outrageous. Like, and I know they're doing that on purpose, like, because I think in the comic books, like every single second word out of their mouth is bro. Like, so I understand why they're doing it, but I'm just like, fuck, bro. Come episode 4, like I'm gonna be like, this is gonna be tough. Like,
Fuck, bro.
Fuck, bro.
Bro.
Fuck,
Bro.
bruh. Hey,
I'll say
bro.
this with them too. One of the things I've really disliked about the Disney Plus show is that it never really feels like they've gotten the power levels of the heroes and the villains and the side characters right. Like it's always like up and down, and you're like, that doesn't make sense. Like it just doesn't feel like it works. But then I thought Kate Bishop fighting the Tracksuit Mafia felt really good because she was struggling. They were getting ready to like really like beat her up and like gotcha.
Yeah.
And then Hawkeye comes in and just like kind of dismantles them. Right. So I think that like really shows where the heroes are at and how they would be, where it's like she kind of knows what she's doing. She's got, she knows what she's doing, but these are 5, full grown dudes.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna get you. And then Avenger shows up and it's like sweeps them all up real quick. Yeah. Like, I love that scene. I love that it established it. It made it feel authentic,
But like even Hawkeye still had to fight them. It wasn't like him flicking them away and like playing with them. He still had to actually fight them, which I thought was again realistic because at the end of the day he is just a man. Of course, like he's fought like aliens and robots and everything, like, but at the end of the day, like 5 dudes, he probably would have to put in a bit of an effort to take them down, which I thought was very well portrayed.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think I really like the whole comic book common enemy though. Like that was fantastic. I think that's what I really took from it, is that although it is a bunch of goons, like they are gonna overpower Kate because she's not as skilled as Hawkeye, but like they're like, it's what you see in the comics, like from the old school comics where it's like, oh no, there's someone running off with stolen goods, and it's just a random thug, and these are all random thugs getting taken out by a hero, which felt very comic book.
It really did. Can we talk about the auction scene real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
First off, why does Ronan's sword retract? Doesn't he have like a sheath or whatever that he carries the sword in? Like, why does it actually retract? I found that weird because he has something he usually carries it in. And then 2, what's the deal with the watch? What do you think is the deal with that?
I don't know what the watch is. My guess was that it belonged to Tony Stark or something, because it came from the compound, and Tony always wore a watch. So I'm like, maybe it's Tony's watch. That was like my guess. I can't imagine like anybody else's watch being of any value. Like his would be linked in with Stark Tech, and the potentially having like I don't know, access into like the Stark Industries, like maybe to hack into the mainframes or something like that. Average Joe in the chat just said a time traveling watch. That could be really cool. So like something from Endgame that they use to travel with the Pym tech and all. That could be fucking sweet. That could be it. That could be it, Joe. You could be right. Yeah, that's very interesting. I noticed something as well, and I don't know how true this is to Kate Bishop's character because again, I'm not really too up to speed. But in the Avengers game, she has a sword which is basically the Ronin sword that retracts and it attaches to her leg. So when you're playing as her in the game, I believe you have a sword that retracts. So I don't know if she gets the Ronin sword later on and it becomes part of her arsenal. I'm not too sure. That would kind of seem like where it's going, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But in terms of the watch, though, a part of me thinks that it's a key to the whereabouts of any of the tech that they're missing. Because remember in Homecoming, we had a bunch of things that were being moved. And there were some things that were also referenced and Easter egged. And so maybe we get to see that later. Maybe that watch is the key that brings us to that storage area.
Yeah, true. And I really do like how they pulled the final scene of Endgame in, where it's like all these items were recovered from the Avenger compound, from
the wreck.
Like that's that's awesome, bro.
That was amazing.
And then, did a lot of people not catch that the Avengers Tower was sold, and that's what Happy was doing when he was moving out, like all their equipment?
Yeah.
Because my girlfriend was like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, you don't remember this from like the Spiderman movie? Like he's getting rid of all the equipment, like he's moving it.
They're moving it upstate to the new to the new base, And the rumor is there that it's actually that tower will become the Fantastic Four tower. That's who it was sold to, because apparently in Spider-Man, you see there's a billboard at the bottom of that tower, and it like hints at Fantastic Four. And the dude who directed the Spider-Man movies is now done with Spider-Man, and he's gone on to start working now on Fantastic Four. Okay, makes sense. It all ties up.
Do you think it also could have been sold by sold to the Roxxon company?
Maybe.
Oh
So
yeah.
that's because I know that in Loki we see a tower similar to Avengers Tower, but it has the Roxxon label.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh,
unless
sure.
that's just a reference, I mean, we could see it with the Fantastic Four, but maybe it's maybe it starts with Roxxon and then moves to Fantastic Four.
Yeah, I'm down. I just was not aware that most like I thought everyone knew it, but apparently there's a big group of people who didn't understand that the Avengers Towers was no longer the Avengers Tower. So I was like, okay.
Bro,
I guess they're catching people up to speed there, maybe.
yeah, like do you ever see when you're watching something, and it happens to me all the time, but like you'll be watching something and there's a really pointless like recap to something that is so fucking obvious, but they must just have to show this stuff for people who get lost easy. And I think that was kind of, yeah, let's mention again the whole selling of Stark Tower and mention all this stuff because people might be wondering like where the fuck did all this stuff come from or whatever, you know? But like
Yeah.
the Ronin suit makes sense to be there because obviously Clint gets picked up by Nat, brought to the Avengers compound, and then the events of Endgame take place, and then that place just
Right.
gets blown to shreds at the very end. So that makes sense that the suit and the sword and everything would be there.
Mm-hmm.
In regards to it being retractable and the whole Ronin like putting the sword in his back, I do remember that. Maybe he modified it later to make it more like hideable.
True.
Yeah.
Very true. It does have those like like those holes on the side of the like those long holes that make no sense outside of maybe that. Like, great
Yeah,
first episode though. Overall, like I was blown away by that entire first episode.
Mhm.
yeah.
I know a couple people were saying it's slow. I guess they had me bought in, bro, because I was like I was on the edge of my seat. I was loving it. Probably one of the best first episodes we've gotten out of Disney in my mind.
I really enjoyed the storytelling. I loved the kind of recap with the family and everything. I think, I think if it was just one episode that we got, I think I would maybe say that yes, it was a little slow because there was and not that it's not important storytelling. Like it's great to see everything, but at the same time, if we had to wait a week to see episode 2, I kind of would have been like, like
Yeah.
did we need all of that family time and all of that stuff at the start? You know, but the fact that and I think that's the reason why they bundled the first 2 together. Like they could have easily
Yeah.
started this show last week, you know. I think they bundled the 2 of them together for that reason. That I think that they were a pair. Those 2 episodes were meant to be viewed together. I think.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I think. Because like the second episode, like to me, it ran as like kind of one long episode, and it was
Yeah.
like what, an hour and a half. It was almost a movie. Like if you were to watch the 2 of them in one back to back, which I did, it's like watching a Hawkeye movie. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's great. It's great. I love it. Cannot wait for
So
the next one.
do you do you think that when the the Jacket Mafia
Tracksuit Mafia.
guys, Tracksuit Mafia, geez, it like dropped out of my head. So when the Tracksuit Mafia comes in through the wall, do you think they're just here to steal everything, or do you think they're just
Just the watch, I think, is the mission.
Yeah.
Just the watch.
gotcha?
Yeah, they're like, forget everything else. It's just the watch. So yeah, I don't know. Like, and I'm very curious. Like, I love the idea of that time travel watch now. That makes a lot of sense because I don't know. Like, would that be like insider knowledge, like that they went back in time, or I presume it would have to be public knowledge, I suppose, if you think about it, right? Because the events of like how the people who didn't blip know history is that the Avengers beat Thanos the second time around, couldn't fix everything, and then they went 5 years with Thanos dead and everyone kind of just depressed, right? But then it's like, how the fuck is Thanos back? So they must, like, people must know that there's some sort of time traveling going on because it's like Thanos is back 5 years later. But he's different, like, or whatever. Like, are they like, imagine hearing it on the news, Thanos returns to fight the Avengers again. Like, you're like, what?
Do you think most people even know the name? Well, I guess they had Thanos was right in the very beginning, which was hilarious.
Yeah, like people are doing graffiti, like Thanos is right. And I think
Yeah.
I saw a photo from later on in the season, and there's like people drinking mugs of tea, and it's like Thanos is right on it and stuff. So, I think like people definitely know who Thanos is. Like, people are like, his name has been dropped so many times. Like, I think, doesn't someone during the LARPing scene, doesn't your man say like, "Oh, you fought"? Or sorry, no, that's Jeremy Renner says, "I fought Thanos. This should be easy," or something like. But like Thanos' name was dropped a good few times in it. So
Yeah,
I think
sure.
yes, people would know who he was, and I think that he would have to be asking the questions. How the fuck is this guy back 5 years later?
Hmm.
Well,
You know?
I think the whole fitting point of this is that after the snap, they had to figure out how many people were left, and then they had to let them know exactly what happened so that they can learn to cope with it over time.
Yeah.
And then after bringing everyone back, I part of me thinks that whole battle scene with Thanos was a little more kept to that area, and I'm not sure how many people actually got to see it. But if any bystanders actually saw it, then of course they would tell everyone, and then that's how people would know about the second coming of Thanos.
Yeah.
And then
But you got to
from
remember,
there,
as well though, that second fight happened 2 minutes
like
after.
immediately.
Yeah, immediately.
Yeah.
Like, so people would be like freaking out because obviously their loved ones were returning and so on. But like that fight happened like almost instantly. So anyone who didn't snap, they would like be like, "What the hell is going on? Like this is all just one big massive event." Like, you know?
Right. And if that watch does have anything to do with time travel, then for the people that know about time travel, it's very dangerous for the entire universe in itself. Like if you have people knowing that time travel is possible, you get people like Wilson Fisk wanting to learn how to go back in time. You know,
Yes.
you get all these characters wanting to do things and go back and fix it for themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could work.
Yeah.
Because
like
I
it.
know in the second episode we got to see who Echo is, who we got to see, and I, truth be told, don't know much about Echo in the Marvel universe, so you guys can inform me. But she does work for Wilson Fisk.
Yes.
So what do you guys think about that?
So the way I perceive it is Fisk is the type of character who he wouldn't make himself known or seen on like, you know, out in the battlefield for something as simple as like Ronan, for example. I don't think he makes himself known. He shows himself, comes out of shadows for shit like Spiderman, for shit like Daredevil, you know, like personal feuds that he has. But I think someone like dressed up as Ronan, I think he's like gonna send one of his lieutenants, aka Echo, to go clean up the mess. Like, so I think
Right.
that's where it's gonna go. We're gonna get a good intro to Echo, and then I think Echo in episode 4 is my guess. Episode 4, she'll go back and she'll report back to Fisk. We'll get the first look at him, and then I think he might have one or two little tiny other cameos in the season. Yeah,
I think we're going to see the museum again.
yeah, maybe, yeah. But I wonder though, because I know they had said, like Kevin Feige and stuff had said like that. Yes, these characters will be coming into the MCU, but they're going to be slightly different versions of themselves. So I don't know. They can probably change whatever they want. You know.
Well, that's actually very interesting because I believe there's a rumor that Vincent D'Onofrio is going to be wearing a like larger, like a fat suit.
Thick
And
D'Onofrio.
going to be,
yeah.
yeah. He's going to be looking like
Comic
Kingpin
big.
from the comic.
Yeah, comic big. They're enhancing him. Imagine that. They're making him fatter and bigger and taller and like more just grand. And I think that's, you know, that's going to lead into him being able to throw Spider-Man around in the future and stuff, you know? It makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
What do you guys think of the LARPing scene from episode 2?
Fucking brilliant, bro. Loved it.
So
Absolutely
silly.
loved it. I absolutely
So
loved
good.
it. I don't know if any of you guys watched Supernatural, but they had an amazing LARPing episode in Supernatural, and one of the brothers just gets so into it, and I got the vibes of that back all over again. Like Clint's like, you know, Red to the sword, and he's doing like he's kind of just messing around, but he's actually doing all the sword moves and everything. Fuck,
Yeah.
bro, I loved it. I loved every second of it. Yeah, it was so good. I love when he's like to your man, like, I can fake kill you and just take the suit, or I can actually come over there and really hurt you and take the suit. Like, you know, what do you want to do? And your man's like, please, bro, let me win. Like, come on. It was so good. Like,
And for the fact that it's just a normal dude wanting to role play, you know, he took his word for it and was like, okay, I will go along with what you want to do.
yeah.
But I also love that he was like, hey man, admit that you at least, you know, had fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it absolutely had the ability to be super cheesy, super corny, and like not work at all. But I think it's because they had a Hawkeye actually kind of like respect the LARP, you know, respect everything that was going on there. Like that was what sold it.
Yeah.
And just such a fun scene that had like, just like the open or in episode 1 where they had the Broadway show, like that had no right to be good. Like it's so corny, it's so out there.
Yeah.
but they made it work in this. I'm like, oh my god, they figured out the MCU on Disney Plus. Please, more of this like halfway in, halfway out corniness. I'm in.
Yeah.
I have a strong feeling that musical over time will be thought about, and eventually they're going to actually do that for a Broadway show.
I think that will really happen, yes. And I am all for it. Like, why not? Why not?
There was too much choreography done. It was done way too perfectly. I think that it's going to turn into something.
Yeah. If I was in New York and that was on, bro, I'd go see it. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I would actually do it. Like, that's a night out right there.
Disney testing the waters. Really
yeah, that's a night out, bro. I can feel it.
So this episode, like, we really start to see the swordsman. He really starts to come in his own. He outs himself as like a good swordsman. Do you guys think that he's actually like a bad guy, right? Or do you think they're skirting the line where you don't know if he's good or bad? And then he's gonna come in and like do kind of a turn, and he's actually a good guy who helps Kate out in the end. Like I can't get a read on the character on what he's really gonna be in this show, right?
They kind of do that a lot, where it's like, you know, they're building this guy up to clearly be a bad guy. You know, his uncle, who he allegedly killed, stabbed with the sword, was an absolute dickhead, and you're kind of like, okay, is he working with him? Are these the kind of people that he rubs elbows with? Like, I kind of got the feeling when your man, the old guy, was like, you know, I've got friends and stuff. I was like, Fisk. Like, you know, I think like this guy is in the criminal underground. He's at the top, like, you know. So I presume the swordsman is there too. But I'm kind of thinking at the same time that, you know, shows do this shit all the time where they'll like bring us along for 4 or 5 episodes out of 6, and you're like thinking that this guy's going to be bad, and then he'll turn around and save her life at the very end, and it'll turn out that, you know, he was undercover trying to bring down the mother or some fucking stupid shit. Like, I would not be surprised in the slightest. I
think Jack is actually someone who's going to train Kate Bishop in the future, because I believe in the comics, Jack is an actual character who trains, I think, Ronin or Hawkeye. I can't remember which persona, but one of them gets trained by him. So it's possible that they're doing this as a red herring because of, you see the candy. They're kind of throwing it in our face a little too obviously. So maybe he actually had nothing to do with it, and he's just a cocky prick.
Yeah. Yep. And I think my whole read on like the whole family situation, because especially with the rumors of her mom being bad or stuff, I really think, like, deep down, I feel like the dad is going to be the one who was part of the criminal underground. It's how he got so powerful. It's how he amassed all his money. It's how he built his company. Is working with people like Kingpin and stuff. And, you know, Kate kind of looked up at it. Like, he's the one that Kate loved as a parent. Like, that was her favorite. They kind of established that when the mom's like, you go talk to her. Are you joking? Come on. She loves you. And so I think he's going to be the one that was actually part of the criminal underground. And it's going to be a really hard moment for Kate where she figures out her hero and her dad was a complete bad guy. Her mom takes over the business, doesn't realize how seedy of a business they're running. So she's interacting with all these people where she's like, I don't know if he threatened me or not. Like, she really doesn't know. Like, she doesn't, it just hasn't clicked for her yet. And that's where the swordsman come in, where I think everyone's correct, where he's kind of going to be like, help them out, train her to like do something to kind of be heroic in the show and not just be the bad guy. Like, I really think that's where the story is.
Yeah, I think he needs to train Kate, and I think by the LARPing scene we know that Clint does not need any swords training. He's fantastic. I'm not even joking.
Who taught him?
His spinning skills and all with the sword, like, you know, he could clearly do that with a real sword. I was like, these are actual fighting moves that he's doing. He's just messing and knocking people over now.
Yeah. I would love to see Clint like fight someone like Gamora in the MCU. I don't know how they do it, but like she's supposed to be such a like badass swordsman.
Yeah. Like,
I would love to see him go toe to toe with people like her, and like how good is he? Because as much as crap as people talk about Hawkeye for not having powers, like Gamora doesn't really have powers, right? Like Peter Quill doesn't.
Yeah.
But Hawkeye gets all this shit. So let Hawkeye go fight a couple of the space people.
Yeah. But like even like the endgame scenes with Ronan, like, you know, he's in like Japan or whatever, and he's like killing all these Japanese like swordsmen and stuff, like, so his skills are there. He makes it look like he makes it look like child's play. And like, I presume you are to presume that the guy that he like slashes up at the end there is the boss. He's the best. He's, you know, whatever, the king, and he just slices through him like butter, like, you know, like no problem. So yeah, he's obviously got great skill.
Before the Ronin persona, did we see Hawkeye use his bow as a like almost like a weapon as well?
Oh, I'd say
I could have sworn he did a couple times.
Yeah, I think he does blocks with it and stuff like that.
Like he would like sweep people off their feet with it. Nothing like swordplay like, but definitely used it as a bludgeoning type of weapon. I think for sure.
Max brought up in the chat there. I just want to highlight a message for anybody who might just be listening to us on Spotify that they actually used a real legit Broadway crew for the actual like scenes at the start, which is hilarious. And that just makes me think that they are testing the waters and they would do something like that. Like, could you imagine that show at like the Avengers compound as like a kind of as a showcase? Like, you could easily do that. Like, it'd be great.
Do you know about the Spiderman Broadway show that was they made at one point?
I never saw anything from it, but I did hear about it. Yeah.
It was like the most dangerous Broadway show. Like everyone got injured all the time. Like it was a disaster of a show. But so they have had Marvel on Broadway before, absolutely. So yes, they'll probably go back down that road.
That's
at
epic.
some point.
That is epic. Epic. I haven't brought him up yet, but Pizza Dog.
Oh, Lucky.
Legend.
He's so good, dude.
I love
like what
such a good boy.
So
yes. Such a great character.
Breaks my heart because I had a Labrador who had one eye for like the last 3 years of her life, and just seeing Pizza Dog, I'm just like, it just brings back so many memories. Like, breaks my heart. But great to see it. Like, I love dogs. Like, so when there's a dog that's a main character of the show, I'm fucking all for it. Like,
Yeah, I don't know what he's gonna do in the show, but I hope he like saves the day at some point. You know what I mean? I hope he's there.
Yeah, like I'd love to see like the way they kind of do like stupid scenes like where like Kate might be tied to a chair or something and the dog will come in and like free her or some shit like that. How his mom would get that A badge.
Speaking of the end of the episode or whatever, where like Kate gets them further caught in their scenario where Clinton goes to get himself self caught on purpose. Which one, I thought it was really cool how he was so open with everything with his wife, right? Like he's not hiding it from her. It's not this Hollywood trope where it's like there's tension there because he doesn't tell her everything. He's like, oh yeah, no, I'm gonna do catch and release, and she's like, oh okay, do the old do Nat's old move, okay, we'll see you.
Yeah.
And then Kate just ruins it, which is so good. Like,
yeah. It makes a lot of sense though. Like like the blip ruined his life, so when she comes back and his family come back, it'd be like, no more secrets. What's the fucking point? Like, I'm going to tell you everything I did. I'll be an open book for the rest of my life because, he's the unthinkable has happened and he's gotten his family back. So yeah, look, why would you even bother lying? Like, there'd be no point.
Right.
Joe in the chat's asking if we talked about the hearing aid. We did mention, we were talking about it a few minutes ago, just kind of mentioning how it's quite realistic that he would have like battle damage to his ears over the years, and how like being an actual human in these like superhero environments and experiences would actually blast his ears. It makes a lot of sense. So I love the fact that he's going deaf. It just shows that he is a human man at the end of the day, and he does extraordinary things. Like, it just makes him such a better character to me. So much more. Like,
I'd love it, but like I'm just, out of all the stuff we can do in this universe now, we got the Wakanda tech, we got the nanotech. They give him like a fucking CVS hearing aid that has a little wire sticking out of it. We can't give my man something a little nicer? Like, he's Hawkeye, bro.
Yeah, what would Tony have done if Tony was around? Like, he probably would have just like healed him straight away, like made like a tech eardrum out of fucking nanobots or something. Like, it just there we go, bro. You're good to go. Can Wakanda get involved, please? Clint save New York, for Christ's sake.
It could have been more of like a more human thing of like, oh, please stop trying to take care of me. I'll just get a normal hearing aid that I can afford, and just don't worry about it.
I feel like Clint has kind of like the way that the show kind of starts. It's like everything else is behind him. It's like it's family time now. It's getting my 5 years back. It's doing everything with my family, give them the best Christmas as possible. So I think like the way I perceive it is like, his hearing starts to go, but he's not going to ring the Avengers. He's not going to get in contact with anybody. Like, he's like, I'm done. Like, and now the events of this show are bringing him back in. So I'm curious, by the end, is it going to be like, okay, shit, look, they still need me. I'm going to be around. And will some sort of tech, like, can Spider-Man use Stark tech to fucking give him a better hearing aid or something? I don't know. Like,
I just stick a sonar arrow right in that ear. Be done with it. You're good. Just break it off.
Hell yeah.
There's definitely going to be an episode where it's going to be very significant, like maybe in the form of like a almost like a PTSD moment or like, oh, I dropped it kind of moment. And then he's just gonna yeah. And then I would love for a good, like a fantastic scene where he can't hear anything, but everything's going on and he knows exactly what to do. And it's just it's gonna look beautiful if that happens.
Oh, he like closes his eyes and he's like back in the Ronin where he's like all just instinct, like just killing everyone.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah. I think like, you know, it's very like kind of yin and yang as well to Daredevil. You know, Daredevil uses his sense for fighting, and you know, Clint will have to use his eyes and not be able to rely on his hearing, like, you know. And I think again it just makes him such a better character that he's kicking everybody's ass and he like only has one ear in and like he's deaf in the other ear. So like, you know, that's why he's kind of like, oh, I'm standing on your left, and he's doing kind of a lot of the spy shit when he's talking to Kate and stuff. You know, that scene where they're walking down the road and he's looking around and he's like checking for tails and all this stuff, and he's like, you know, you're standing on this side because this is my good ear and so on. Like, you know, he's like, I think he's just the way he plays it is just very clever. Like, it's very street smart. It's very, you know, espionage.
Can I just say though, as all the things, like he's like a tactician walking on the streets, like looking around. Why does he have his hand in his pocket? What's he doing? Selling drugs? Get your hands out of your pocket, man. What if someone jumps in? Can't have your hands tucked in, bro. Okay, we gotta have those babies loose. What's going on here? Just saying. I'm just pointing it out.
Yeah. Yeah. No, he looks like, you know, anytime you see somebody like with a jacket on and a hood over their head and all, they look sketchy as fuck. Like, they're gonna stand out rather than blend in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so stupid. I always think the same. Or, you know, when you see someone with the baseball cap on and you're just like, bro, like, you just literally, you're sticking out like a sore thumb now because you're trying to hide. You know?
Like they're doing that cap down a little bit further than you, and then they get their head down a little bit.
You know, when Steve Rogers does it in Winter Soldier, like when they're in the Apple shop and all, it's just like, you look sketchy. Like, if I was walking towards him in a mall, like, I'd be like, what the fuck's this guy up to? Like, he's gonna start some shit, like, you know.
And it's like a solid blue like trucker hat too. Like, who wears that?
Yeah.
Like, no one. There's no logos on it. That's weird.
Yeah.
Bro. Like, just
exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
What do you guys think about the show overall? Like, first 2 episodes out of the gate, comparing it to rest of the Disney Plus shows. First 2 episodes, like, where do you think this thing stands?
I kind of said it on my first kind of viewing. I sat back and kind of had a chat with my girlfriend about it, and I said, like, you know, solid 8 out of 10. Nothing groundbreaking in the show, like nothing like kind of. I didn't jump out of my seat. There was nothing that was like, oh my god, rewind that back. I need to watch it again. There was none of that, like, you know. But it was fantastic storytelling. It was fantastic. Like, just an amazing introduction to Kate Bishop's origin, and Hofmvn, you touched on this. Like, it perfectly shows you why she, like, how her life changed and how she turned into the person that she is, how she became the hero that she will become, like, you know. And just, I loved the whole Hawkeye thing. I loved him trying to just be a normal dude and just getting dragged back in, and you could just see the good guy that he is. Like, he doesn't have to help Kate at all, you know. It's like, oh, you got like the Ronin suit. Like, the second he gets that suit back, he's fully entitled to just walk away, see you later. Yeah. But he's not going to, like, you know, it's not who he is, it's not in him. So yeah, like, I just think it's great. Like, you know, I'm dying for episode 3. I really need to see more, you know. Yeah, solid 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I definitely give it an 8 out of 10 as well. When I first tried to watch it, I was very tired, and I actually did fall asleep the first time around. So yeah, it
wasn't the show's
didn't
fault.
Pull me up. It wasn't the show's fault. It was just me being tired. But had it been like such an amazing pull from the beginning, I think I would have probably kept my eyes open no matter what.
Yeah.
So there were a few moments where it just kind of made me feel tired and I fell asleep. But then after rewatching it a couple times, I can honestly say it's fantastic. The intro was fluid. Everything was fluid all the way up until the end of episode 2. I'm really hoping that episode 3 does well and that we get to see what Echo's all about. That's a new character for me, so I'm excited to see that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. This is like 8.5 out of 10. I've loved this, you know, probably more than anything else that started on Disney Plus. I'm a little apprehensive because I do remember enjoying Loki the first episode. I did really like the first episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier. So I'm still like, you know, I'm like, all right, I don't want to trust you too fast, Hawkeye. You started out great, but
Yeah.
What I love that they're doing is like they're not deconstructing the character. It's like in Loki, they want to deconstruct Loki. They want to deconstruct Falcon and Captain America, and like that relationship. They kind of like wanted to pull stuff apart, right? Where in this one, it's just like this is Hawkeye, this is new character Kate Bishop. Here's some fallout from the where the timeline is right now with Ronan in New York. Like here's some fallout is based in it. Kate Bishop's a fantastic actress. She's probably the best one on screen right now in that show. Like it's overall just solid, man. Like I love it, and I wish all the Disney Plus shows were this solid out of the gate, because it just I've been talking about this for probably the past 3-4 months, where the MCU just feels like it's goddamn grief ridden, and like it's just there's no fun, and everyone's just down. It's depressing, and this is like just a lighthearted show where it's like fun. We see that Hawkeye's still dealing with stuff, but overall, it's just got this light attitude where they're cracking jokes, they're having a good time. And it's Christmas in New York.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah. I gotta say, like, tip of the hat to Marvel again. They just smashed the fucking casting of Kate Bishop as well.
Yep.
I was a little apprehensive, like, when I was watching the trailers. I was like, I don't know. I'm not gonna say she came across bad or anything, but I just didn't get a proper feel for her in the trailers. And I'm like, this should go either way. Like, I don't know which way it's gonna go, but she's fantastic. She's very, very good. She's very funny. She's very serious when she needs to be. Like, she looks like she could kick ass as well. Like, sometimes it's not believable. Like you see someone, you're like, this, I can't buy this, but like, she looks the part. Like, I think she's fantastic. Yeah. Really
Yeah, and I know everyone's talking about the Young Avengers. If they just want to bump her up into the main Avengers, whatever, I'm down. Like, I think she's right up there with the caliber of those people. I can see her fitting in with the rest of them. I love her character, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, she could sit on a team with Sam Wilson, and I wouldn't bat an eyelid. Yeah, wouldn't bat an eyelid.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. Trying to think, did I have anything else from the episode? I think we kind of covered all the notes that I had. Yeah, do you have any predictions for episode 3, or did you see any trailers or anything like that? I didn't see anything like new footage or anything that's coming up. I don't know. No idea what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
I think we're digging into Swordsman next episode. I think we're really going to get a handle on him. And then they really have to tell us what the watch is about. Like, we got to find it. That's like the MacGuffin of the show.
Yeah.
We have to figure out what the watch is about and why it's important, because right now it's just all been about his Ronin suit when we have this watch just hanging out there. And I don't even think he knows about the watch yet. Right. And so like, he's going to learn about that. He's going to be like, all right, well, I'm not going to make it home for Christmas now.
Yeah.
Tony's watch is out there. Look.
And it's only 6 episodes. So like, this is going to be the halfway point here.
Yeah.
So we got to see something really good. And then that way it can like bridge us into the next half.
Cable's watch. Oh my God.
Oh, yeah. Because I mean, we didn't get a good look at what that watch was all about.
Did we see the watch? Am I remembering it wrong, or did you see a box like knocked over and like a watch like falling out of it or something like that? Or
I don't know, actually.
Yeah, I don't know. I need to rewatch that like wine cellar scene again, because I could have sworn you actually saw the watch. I don't know. I need to watch it again, just to kind of laser focus on it. Go on.
The only thing I remember is that the Avengers compound like card was over the watch, so we didn't necessarily get like a great look at what's on it.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Did you know the opening scene? So the flashback scene of Kate as a child. The second that the T'Chari fight starts, that's all one continuous shot. They shot that whole sequence, so the whole fight happens in one shot, and the way that we perceived it in the movie was split up so much by obviously it jumping from Hawkeye to Captain America to Iron Man and everything. But what you are actually seeing is everything that happened from her perspective, watching Clint, and that's how quick it all happened. Whereas when you're watching it from Clint's perspective, everything's like superhero slowed down, like slow motion, everything's like one big epic shot and everything. But for her, it was a 2-minute like scene, and it was all over. Like, it's just crazy. Like, I just love that sort of like cinematography, and like it's just 300 IQ shit. Like, it's crazy. Like,
the show's great with that, and like with that scene, like the starting fight in New York, it's like it's a hero movie, right? And it's like really cool to see the superpowers all heroic. It's fun, it's big. But then you see it from like Kate Bishop's perspective, and it's like petrifying, like it's terrifying. Being inside your building, having it like ripped apart, you're like, oh my god, like everything. But the cinematography, like top notch.
I was waiting for her to like walk into a room and like a big giant like alien just standing in the room or something, like, you know. I was like, that's gonna happen, and like my prediction as I was watching it, I was like, there's gonna be an alien standing in her kitchen or something like that, and Hawkeye's gonna burst in, headshot, and then just leave, and then she's gonna be like obsessed with Hawkeye for the rest of her life, sort of thing, like, you know. That's how I. But and that was kind of what happened. What I predicted was actually kind of right, like, because obviously Hawkeye saves the day. But you know, the way it happened obviously was a bit different, but it was pretty obvious that was the way they were going to go with it. But it was fucking brilliant. I loved it. I loved every second of it. It was just so good.
Definitely a there goes my hero moment when she looked out the window.
Yeah, but I just love the symmetry of just how she saw it and how it actually went down as being two completely different stories. Like, you know, he's in bits, he's almost on his deathbed, but to her, he's the strongest Avenger. Like, you know, it's just crazy.
Yeah. God, it's so good.
Yeah. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I don't know, like, do you guys have anything else? Were we meant to watch a Spider-Man movie actually? Did you guys watch Spider-Man 3?
I did watch Spider-Man 3.
You did?
Yeah, I did.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Excellent. Was it the best movie that
excellent.
Was it the best movie you saw this year?
It definitely put dirt in my eye.
Oh, bro, no, you got to admit, right? Okay, as bad as this movie is, you have to admit, I guarantee you laughed at least 5 times. At least.
I cringed so hard, bro.
They went back to formula.
Yeah.
I think if I go back and watch it again, I might laugh. But like, this was such a shock for the first time watching it. I was like, what in the fuck were they thinking? How did the Sam Raimi not just get ran out of Hollywood after this? What the hell, man?
Is that the first time that you'd seen the movie?
Yeah, I'd never seen it before. That was my first run with it.
What?
Oh, bro,
Yeah.
I would have loved to have watched that with you if I'd known it was your very first time.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I would have done a watch party with you for that one because, like, I would have loved to seen your actual, like, first reactions. Jesus.
Because, like, the first half of the movie, I thought was pretty good.
Yeah,
I was like,
it is. It
is
starts good.
Yeah, solid. And then, like, an hour into it, probably after, like, right when he gets to the suit, like, right when Venom kind of... It just goes off the fucking rails. What is this entire jazz sequence? There's like a 15-minute jazz sequence, dude. What? What?
It's so good though. I know when he slides on the chair and all, he's doing the dum dum dum, and I do the clicking and all. Oh, bro, it's so funny. Yeah,
It's terrible.
I brought some of my friends to see that. I don't know if I've told you this before, but I saw that in the cinema in 2007, and I brought friends of mine who aren't really like superhero guys, and I had to apologize to them after the movie because they hated it so much, and they were like, you actually wasted our money, like, what the fuck did you bring us to? Like, and I was just like, guys, I'm so sorry, I didn't think it was going to be that bad. Like, I was like, the first 2 were so good, I was like, this was like on track to be amazing, like, you know. And I was like, I had to actually apologize to them, like, and if I was older, like, we were still like we were still teenagers, like, but if I was an older man, I probably would have had to refund them. Like,
I actually really enjoyed the way Venom looked in this.
Yeah, it's
I
good.
Like like, I think his head could have been a little bit longer. Like, it was a little scrunched, and like, you know, they kind of give him a nose, which is kind of weird, right? But overall, like, this looked like a better looking version of Venom in terms of like color. Like, he didn't look wet and shiny. Like, he just kind of looked like Venom. He looked terrifying.
Like, like, he has the correct symbol on the chest, and it's like a proper Spider-Man suit, and it kind of made sense that he was able to wall crawl and everything, and he shot the webs like out the front of his arm like he did in the comics and in the cartoons and everything. Like, when I was rewatching, I was like, oh my god, like, all this stuff is very accurate to the original content, which, like, all hands down to Sam Raimi. Like, he followed the content, like, you know, he did do that. I'd love to have a conversation with him and ask him, like, why he put some of the things he put into that movie into it. I did hear in the background, like, I think he lost a lot of creative control of that film. I think Sony stepped in and were like, you know, we need to make this more childish, we need to make it more fun, we need to, you know, and like, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard, because if you think, like, the last time Sam Raimi makes a Spider-Man movie, it's Spider-Man 2 with Doc Ock and everything, like, one of the best superhero movies ever. And then they're like, oh, bro, you need to calm down. It's like, no, can you just make that movie again, please? You know, like, do that again, but with Venom, please. And we're golden, like, you know. I just don't understand how Sony thought, let's put in these cheesy fucking scenes and, you know, turn Peter Parker into an emo kid and all this stupid stuff. Like, it was just, it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous, but going back and watching it now, I just see it for the comedy, and I love it for the fact, like, you know, it's just like when he's coming out of the suit shop and he does the dance, like, you know, it's like a gift that everybody's seen. You know, it's just there's just so many golden moments in it, like, and Jameson is fucking hilarious in it as well. He's really good in that one.
It's fantastic.
Yeah,
The
he's
scene
so
where
good.
like he's getting buzzed in,
Yeah,
like it's stressing him out. It's
Yeah.
so,
And he's pointing at the pills, and he's like, "Is it this one? This one?" And they're going everywhere now.
Yeah.
That's very funny. Like, you know, that's really good. And like, Jameson is always good. I love when he buys the camera off the kid on the street for like $200, the little like wind up thing. Like, you know, I saw somebody compared to he's wearing those same clothes in No Way Home as well. When he's like out on the street, he's got the same hat on, and, you know, like, he looks exactly the same as he did in Spider-Man 3, which is interesting. The Sandman story. Sandman story, I'm sorry, is fucking an incredible introduction to a villain.
It was phenomenal.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Like, his heart is like, it's destroyed, and he's like literally nothing. And then he sees the locket of his daughter, and that lets him literally like turn back into a man. Like, it's a stunning scene. Stunning scene.
Yep.
Like,
And that's the weirdest thing is, like, I looked at some of the trivia for the movie itself. Sandman is the main villain.
Yeah.
And Venom became the afterthought.
Yeah.
Like, they threw Venom in to appeal to the fans.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why, like, it felt like with Venom, it felt very rushed. But they did really well in the costume.
Yeah.
I can agree with that. But it was definitely rushed. We didn't get enough scenes with Venom. I think it should have been a fourth movie if possible. You know, split this up into a two-parter if need be. But yeah, like, Sandman should have just been that main villain for that movie on its own, and it would have worked perfectly. But aside from that, I did like seeing everything that I wanted to see as a kid. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, the story of Sandman is heartbreaking, you know. It's like his kid is sick and he's trying to get money to get a procedure for her or whatever. Like, and, you know, you can tell why he did what he did. And then, you know, you think that he's the one who's responsible for killing Uncle Ben. Then Peter hears the real story and he lets him go, you know. And it's like, Jesus, this is fucking brilliant. Like, all the Sandman scenes are just classed so good.
Yeah.
And I think it's just Topher Grace's fucking Eddie Brock is just a little too cheesy. But I'll be fucking 100% honest with you. Like, I prefer him as Eddie Brock.
God damn it!
I do. Just as Eddie Brock. Just as Eddie Brock, because he's a proper photographer. He has the proper relationship with Peter Parker.
Oh my
They're at each
God.
other's throats. They're trying to get the job and everything. It's proper to the content. It's
horrible.
Is he buff? Is he a buff guy? No, not at all. Like, they obviously went the whole kind of Jack guy for like Tom Hardy. That's better, of course. But I don't know. I found it.
You know what, Finto? How dare you? It said that he gained 23 pounds of muscle for that movie.
He did in his fucking shite. Not a chance, bro. Not a chance.
He just seemed so weird. He seemed out of place. He didn't seem like he fit in that role at all. I think his Venom looked cool, but that's just because the suit looked amazing. But like, they should bring him back into the Spider-Man movie. If they're bringing the other Venom into this, why aren't we bringing Topher Grace in this bad boy? I would
enjoy to see Topher Grace back. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I actually would.
I'm so shocked you said that. You hate Tom Hardy for no reason.
I do. No, it's not for no reason. It's not. He's a one-dimensional actor. I'm sorry. He has the physical physique.
And you
of Eddie
cannot
Brock.
say that Topher Grace. You think Topher Grace has dimension? You think he's a deep actor? What is this, bro?
I'm not saying he's a good actor. I'm saying that he was a slightly better Eddie Brock, and that really tells you how shit Tom Hardy was as Eddie Brock. If I think that Topher Grace did a better job. Now, if you were to put Tom Hardy into that movie instead of a Topher Grace, I think that's a good Venom. Imagine the proper suit. It's a more kind of stockier version of him, because the thing that like annoys me about that Venom suit is the fact that he's too close to Spider-Man. Like, in the comics and in the cartoons, when Venom gets the suit, he's twice the height of Spider-Man, like, and he's twice as thick as him. Whereas in this movie, he's still kind of looks like Spider-Man. You know, people are nearly mistaken when they see Venom, they're nearly like, oh, is that Spider-Man? And then they realize when he has the fucking deformed face and stuff, you're like, oh shit, that's not Spider-Man. You know, like he nearly looks like him. So I think that's where they fucked up there with that suit. It's just that he's too scrawny, he's too small. He looks like a normal man. He looks like Spider-Man, whereas he should be 3 times the height, 3 times as wide, like big jacked fucker, looking like Batista or something, you know, but just with a suit on.
The symbiote definitely needs to take over, like on the muscle mass.
Yeah,
like enhance it, show that like, oh, I'm bigger and tougher than you.
Yeah. I heard a fucking crazy rumor about Venom. I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to talk about it because, again, it's down as a rumor, but it's not a spoiler. But it's down as like a rumor. But I don't know. If it's
that's spoiler.
I don't know if it's true or not. But
because like, if I hear it, I'm just gonna think about the whole time I'm in the movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I won't mention it. But it's crazy. It's crazy.
How about Bruce Campbell in Spider-Man 3? Probably his best performance in all the Spider-Man movies.
Yeah, where he's he's like, well, am I bringing it out? No. Yeah.
Oh my god, I was roaring, bro.
Fantastic.
Like, he's the only good part about this movie.
Fantastic.
No, it's Parker. Yes, that's what I said. Parker.
I like you. God, he's hilarious, man. I didn't like James Franco's story, the back and forth. It felt kind of like just, oh yeah, I got amnesia, and then like 2 minutes later, no, I got my memories back. Yeah. Oh no, okay, now I'm back on your side. But you're like, it was such a whiplash back and forth with him.
It kind of makes me think how much. I'm sorry. It kind of made me think about like how much screen time they wanted with James Franco himself, because it seemed like they just wanted to pull him off the suit and get him on screen for as long as they can for whatever amount that they paid him for.
That's true. Like it's like he's part of this trilogy, but like not part of the trilogy at the same time. I don't know why he's been in all 3 of the movies when it didn't feel like his character really needed to be. I get they kind of like hangs around in the comic book, but I don't think that really translated well on screen. He just kind of feels like a third wheel to the whole story overall. I was like, I don't know, dude. And then he comes in and saves the day in the end. And I'm just like, I don't know.
And it's the same thing with the screen time thing and the whole like taking out, like, I hate that they kept taking off their masks like over and over and taking off like, had he worn his visor or helmet or whatever the heck, he wouldn't have hit his head. Like, that's why with the Green Goblin helmet, like it would, like that wouldn't have done anything to him. And I really think that wouldn't have done anything to him in general because of the serum that he took. But I mean, I don't know. Just seems weird.
I thought the whole head injury and amnesia was going to be a total fake, and like he was just doing it the whole time to fool Peter.
That would have been good.
I think that would have been much better, right? Like he's, but it was just he actually lost his memory. Like what?
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. I love James Franco, like, so you know. I think he has that scene where he's like in the restaurant and he turns around and does the wink. It's kind of thing we see all over the internet now. Like, I fucking roared laughing when I saw that. Like, I just thought it was great. And just he's such a smug, rich asshole. Like, and I think he does it really well in this one as well. Like, it's just like you believe that he's a fucking rich dickhead. Like, and then I suppose they kind of bring back the whole friendship. Like Harry and Peter are best friends. So, when Mary Jane's in trouble, a woman that they both love, of course they're gonna kind of band together to save her. Like, that makes sense. But it is cheesy as fuck as well. So, yeah. And those kind of movies are very much like that. Like, anytime Peter has any sort of like a real like heart-to-heart conversation, the mask just gets ripped off straight away. So you can see Tobey delivering the lines, and it's like, you don't need that. Like, we know he's in there. We know it's him. We know it's Harry on the other side. It's like, just keep the fucking masks on.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way Peter Parker would be taking off his mask that much.
Yeah.
It's just it's a stupid kind of movie trick like that they do just to try and give the actor as much kind of screen time as possible. Like, and it's something that Raimi obviously really likes to do, but they don't really do it as much anymore. Like, I find, like, they're not really doing it in the MCU anymore. You'll go inside Tony Stark's helmet, but you know what I mean? Like, it's rare that he takes a lot. Now, I suppose it did kind of come off and on a lot when he had the nanobots, maybe a lot more, but not when he's fighting an enemy, though. It's only when he's kind of when he's with his friends or whatever, so I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
I think I think when they decided to properly establish the MCU, they decided to take it into a more comic base of these guys need to keep their identities a secret, and therefore like that's why when you see Peter in Homecoming and Far From Home, the suits are like the nano suits or the iron suit like is designed to cover his face the moment like anybody comes around that would know his identity.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very form fitting, and it does look like even when he's talking with the suit on, like I enjoy that. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I like it too.
It's just like you said, Finto. I know what Tom Holland looks like. I know what the person under the mask looks like. Just let me believe that I'm watching a superhero tell it like it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think they had some really clever technology going on and for Tom Holland's Spider-Man, where in the comic books they're able to show expressions through Spider-Man because they can change his face up a little bit, right? And scrunch his eyes and stuff. And so when they brought that into Tom Holland's suit, it made perfect sense.
Yeah.
Because one thing is about Spider-Man up until the MCU is like he just had that one eye shape and just kind of a blank stare.
Yeah.
So I kind of get that they were taking the mask off so they could show expression of like the actual character, right? And I just thought it was a genius move by in the MCU to make like his eyes able to squint and stuff and have them like close up and stuff, so he can have a little bit of emotion going on and not take the mask off. So because some of those scenes where it's just his face, it is kind of weird. It's like, all right, there he is.
I love that. Actually, one of the funniest scenes I think in Homecoming is when when Peter crashes down on those two kids having like the slumber party out the back garden, and his eyes twitching like crazy, and they're like, ah, like, it's just, that is so funny. Like it's something so simple with the suit. Like, yeah, you're dead right, 100% on that one. Yeah.
And I didn't really believe the whole Peter Parker kissing Gwen upside down scene when he's getting the key in the movie.
And that was
I thought that was like
that was before
so
the
out of
Venom
it.
suit too, as well. Like I'm like, why did Peter do that? Like that is the stupidest thing a man would do to his girlfriend ever. Like I don't think any man is that stupid. Like to do something like that. He's like, lay it on me, they'll love it.
Yeah, and Peter Parker at that, you know what I mean? Like, he like thinks like the nice guy, right? Like, what are we doing here, bro?
Worships the fucking the road that Mary Jane walks on. Like, there's no way he would do that. I could see Venom, like the Black Spider-Man version of him, doing it. Like, after he gets the symbiote, it's like, oh, like all the bets are off. Like, but yeah, like I don't understand why he did that. Like, it's just crazy. And like Mary Jane's like, I love when Mary Jane's like, how could you do that, Peter? And like he just kind of comes to the realization that like he fucked up, like, and that's like, I know Tobey has a bit of a silly face, like when he's being emotional in movies, like he kind of looks like a bit dumb or whatever. But I just like I bought it, like I bought how like stupid he was and naive and how he didn't think anything about it. Like you can tell he didn't think 2 seconds into the future when he made that decision. And it's just like, oh god, yeah, I fucked up. Like, oh my god, what have I done? Like, I think that's really good acting from Tobey, to be fair, because you buy it. Like, you're like, oh my god, yeah, yeah, he knows what he did.
Worst boyfriend ever.
Yeah,
dude. When she says, "I'll never forget that," you're like, "Oh, that one's done."
Yeah,
had to move on for a couple of those.
Yeah, she's like, "I will never forget that." Like, and that's actually like, I love that scene because I think it's like, that's exactly what would happen in that situation. Like, we've all kind of been in trouble in relationships in the past or whatever, where you do something where you're stupid and you're like, I don't know if I can work my way back from that one. Yeah.
I just like I couldn't believe how much Peter just was like, the MJ's like, I'm struggling as an actress and I still have to go work as a waitress, and he's like, how about one for Spider-Man? Let's I gotta go.
Yeah.
I was like, geez, Peter, like show some, empathy or sympathize with something.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I don't know, like that kind of makes me really like Tobey's version of Spider-Man, because I think it's truly a proper representation of Peter Parker and how like he struggles so much with just normal shit, and how he struggles to just, be a loving boyfriend, be there for his partner, do the whole superhero thing, juggle everything together and try and, pay his rent and everything. Like it's so real, and I think it's just struggles that everybody has, like, not enough hours in the day, you just can't do it all. And I just think, that's something Tom Holland's Spider-Man does not have yet, everything's handed to him, and it's just like, you know, here's Stark Tech. You know, oh, Tony's not around anymore, but now you have access to everything that he has, so you can make your suits in 5 minutes on a jet. Like, you know, it's like, okay, you know, sorry, hang on a sec there. I'm nearly done with the new suit. Like, yeah, okay, let's go beat like Mysterio. Like, it's like, what?
Yeah.
Like, there's no challenge whatsoever. Like,
Oh, you can't beat the Sinister Six Spider-Man? Here's 2 other Spider-Men to help you out real quick.
yeah,
There you go. Like,
yeah. And like, part of that, like, you know, makes me very excited about the return of Tobey's character, because, you know, we're going to see someone who's been Spider-Man for like 15 years, maybe more. He could be even older. Like, I think you could be seeing a Peter Parker in his like actual like 40s or maybe 50s. Like, you know, it's kind of like an old man Logan nearly. Like, and I think it's going to be, you know, the whole kind of, you know, listen to me, kid. These are the mistakes I made. Don't make the same mistakes. You know, do everything you can to save MJ, or, you know, get her back or whatever. Because like, at the end of Spider-Man 3, you don't really know if he gets MJ back or not. It's a proper question mark on it, like, you know? So it's like, and I think they touched on this in Into the Spider-Verse. It was like, he didn't get her back. He fucked it up, and that was it. Like, he was single. Like, he was like, you know, and it was the biggest regret of his life. And I think that's what we're going to get in Tobey. I think that's the Tobey we see in the MCU. I don't think he has Mary Jane back. And then I think Andrew's character is going to be just obviously devastated, living in regret to the fact that he lost Gwen, his MJ, and then it's like, you know, that's why he's going to save MJ in that fallen scene. Guaranteed. Yeah. Like, it has to be Andrew who gets the save to right his run.
I wonder if Tobey didn't want to do voice Into the Spider-Verse because he felt like they were finishing Sam Raimi's story and he didn't want to do that.
Yeah, maybe.
You know what I mean? Like, because I never really thought about that until you put it there like that. That like he doesn't get MJ Into the Spider-Verse, because I'd never seen Spider-Man 3. I had no idea this is how it went, right?
Yeah.
And I could totally see him be like, no, I'm not gonna finish Sam Raimi's, you know, movie like that. Like, that's not how it's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. And I heard, and this isn't a spoiler, but I heard that in the making of Spider-Man 3, they actually went to Raimi and they went to, what was the dude's name who did the Garfield movies?
Oh, I don't even know.
Not John Watts. He's doing the current movies. I can't remember his name. But they
Steven
went
Spielberg.
They went to the 2 guys who did the previous movies, and they were like, "We need to fill in some gaps in time. Where would, you know, your Sandman be now? Where would Doc Ock be if he had some time? You know, where would Electro be?" And these guys came in and actually filled in the gaps because they didn't want there to be like clear kind of plot holes or like missing time. So
that's
because
cool.
at the end of, because if you think to the end of the movie that you just watched, like, Sandman does have a redemption arc, but it's like now he's come back and it looks like he's a villain again. So from what I've heard, it's like he actually is dead, because Doctor Strange says in the trailer each of these villains dies in the hands of Spider-Man. So whatever happens to them in the meantime between the last movie and where we are now, Spider-Man has killed all these villains. So
is it Mephisto pulling all the villains from the death? Dun dun dun. Mephisto.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, like, I don't know, bro. It's crazy. I saw a theory today where they were saying like the sixth member of the Sinister Six is Mephisto, and I'm just like, oh, fuck off. Like
666.
Yeah.
Here we are, brothers.
Yeah. So I don't know, bro. I'm so fucking excited to see Spider-Man 3. You know, I really am. It's not that far away now as well. It's crazy.
I'll tell you what.
It's far from home.
Sandman, when he's like talking to his family and he climbs out the window and he doesn't look at them when he says his last line. That's like one of the smartest like directing decisions I've seen in a movie, where it's like he's so ashamed of himself.
Yeah.
He just doesn't even look at it. He's like, I just got unlucky. He's not looking at anybody. Like, it's so good. I don't know why it just stuck out to me. It just hit me. I was like, God damn, I love Sandman, bro.
That whole story with Sandman is fantastic. And I don't know if you guys heard the news, but he's getting a solo movie. They're doing a solo Sandman movie at Sony.
Interesting.
Solo Sandman confirmed. Also,
But it's not this one though.
I believe
it's
it
Neil
is.
Gaiman's Sandman, right?
I think it's a Sandman movie. It's not. That's a show. I think what you're thinking of.
Oh yeah, that's a Netflix show.
Yeah, that's a TV show. This is an actual Sony Sandman movie, and I think that they're saying that this is what one of the Kevin Feige projects is going to be, is a Sandman movie.
Interesting.
So they're saying, are we going to get Tom Holland or potentially Tobey back or someone. There's going to be a Spider-Man in that movie also. So, also, listen to this. They've got a Rhino movie confirmed as well. Announced during the week. Rhino movie.
God.
Is it going to be like I mean, if they do a genuine Rhino with the suit and everything and not like mechanical, I think I might be for it.
I think it's mechanical though. And to quote the Den of Nerds, big shout out. Sony's gonna Sony, bro. Like they're gonna ruin this shit. Like,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too much.
Yeah, it's too much. Now, what could be quite interesting is, you know, Sony are obviously, and I would presume that the stipulations of this crossover deal with Marvel is the fact that they do get to launch their own Sony Spider-Verse again after the completion of this arc with Tom. And what I've heard as well is that Tom will sign on. He's signed on for 5 more movies. So two Sony movies, right? Which is either going to be most likely going to be like, say, Sandman and maybe Rhino, or it could be Sandman, Rhino, and then a small appearance in Venom 3, right? And then he's going to go back to the MCU and he's going to do college years trilogy. And then I think that's going to be probably the end of him.
They need to give him a Logan story. Just goes out as an old bitter man.
Or just dies and Miles Morales takes over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I saw something that they're gonna do a Logan series with like all the different Wolverines,
Animation.
like different No, I like either animation or live action. But I've seen a rumor that they're gonna do a Wolverine series that has like all different versions.
That would be crazy.
That sounds
It'd be
disgusting.
super crazy. It really does.
I don't want that at all.
I don't want to do it.
Like, at all.
The only way that I would be interested in that would be just to take it as a complete piss take as an animated series. Like, if that's in any way live action, that's going to be bizarre. Thank you, Alex.
Oh, no problem, buddy. It popped up.
Sorry, just mute that. Yeah. So yeah, like, I don't know. Like, it's, bro, I don't know. Like, there's some interesting moves coming down, like with like Morbius and Craven, and, you know, will they like mix with Blade and Punisher and stuff like that? Like, I think there's the recipe there for something fantastic. I don't know if they're going to be allowed to do it, but the amazing stories are there. They're just waiting to be told, you know. Did you guys have you guys heard anything about this recast T'Challa petition that's going around? Have you heard about this?
I caught wind of it. I didn't dig into it though.
So, just to shout out Den of Nerds again, he's like one of my favorite creators right now. Like, he's just so on the point with everything. He's just started a podcast on Spotify, and he's copying us. And basically, what he's doing, he brought on the guy who started the petition. And to be honest, I'll be very honest with you, just to give you a quick kind of insight into what it's about. Basically, this guy who's a movie critic and so on, and a YouTuber himself, can't remember his name to save my soul, but he basically has started up a petition which has gotten like hundreds of thousands of signatures. And basically what he's trying to just portray is to the fact that the character of T'Challa should not be removed, should not be killed. They should recast, because the character is more important than Chadwick Boseman. And it's zero disrespect to Chadwick Boseman, no disrespect to his family or anything like that. And, like, you know, it's a fantastic podcast. Throw it on tomorrow if you've got some downtime, or if you're working or doing something. But it's just the Den of Nerds on Spotify. But just the detail they go into in this. And, like, to be honest, I didn't really think about it, you know, when I heard, like, you know, oh, maybe it'll be Killmonger, or maybe it'll be Shuri, or whatever, or both, or whatever they do. I was kind of like, yeah, look, I think they shouldn't recast T'Challa just for Chadwick. But after listening to this, my mind is completely changed. And I think they are dead right in what they're saying. Like, you know, if you'd never recast after the death of Heath Ledger, you know, like, we won't get the next great Joker. Like, you know, like, you know, Christopher Reeves dies, we never get Henry Cavill. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the character has to move on, you know. And it's a fascinating podcast. It's really, really, really good. Really worth a listen. It's on Spotify, and give it a go.
And I remember like reading those articles and saying that there were people that were saying, you know, as much as we love Chadwick Boseman on the scene, as much as we loved his portrayal of T'Challa, it's just like you said, Finto. It has to move forward. We need to see that character flourish and become who he really is, because we barely got a taste of it in Civil War, and we got a good chunk of it in Black Panther. And to just put it aside for the fact that someone that was a beloved actor passed away,
Yeah.
is just, it's almost like I can't speak for Chadwick Boseman, but I feel like it's almost insulting to not continue.
Well,
And
this is something that they talk about in this podcast. The dude actually met Chadwick, didn't talk about this with him, but had met him and everything. So, you know, this guy knows Chadwick, like he's like worships Chadwick Boseman, and he's like went back, scrubbed through every single interview that he's ever done with regards to Black Panther, and these are words from Chadwick's mouth himself. He says, I play characters like T'Challa, Jackie Robinson, all these like legendary characters, and he's like, I'm an actor to portray these storylines and these characters. Like, I don't want ever in a movie for me, Chadwick Boseman, to be more important than a character. That's what he has said. Those are words out of his mouth. And basically he's saying that, you know, the character should live on. I want the character to thrive. It needs to be about T'Challa. It's not about Chadwick Boseman. So, you know, I understand that, yes, it would be probably too soon to recast him right now in a universe that is so connected. You know, it's not like a contract dispute, like where they, you know, got rid of Terrence Howard. You know, that was a contract dispute. They needed to replace him. It was a financial decision. This is different. Absolutely. Don't recast him now. But I don't think that you kill the character. I think you shelve the mantle for a couple of years maybe, and maybe bring him in a couple of years time, like 5-10 years. Then you bring T'Challa back. You know, he gets lost in the multiverse or something. You make up some story and he comes back and he's a bit different or whatever, or it's a different version of him, you know? I heard a great theory where it was like, you know, you could get a different version. I think they covered this in a comic book, where a different version of T'Challa comes into the 616, and the Earth that he's from, Wakanda had been destroyed by Namor and Atlantis. And it's like, something like that would just be perfect, because they're talking about bringing all these characters into like the Wakanda world, and that would just make a lot of sense for them to do stuff like that, you know. But yeah, I think, listen to it. It's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic, and it will open your eyes to some stuff that you probably haven't thought about, just with the whole scenario. Like, really good, really good.
I would say, like, one of the big things for me about having Black Panther be carried on and T'Challa is that it's not like the mantle of Black Panther is not as important as the character of T'Challa.
Exactly.
Like, Iron Man isn't important. Tony Stark is important. So we can pass mantles along to all these characters, but it doesn't matter if we don't like the character underneath the mantle. And T'Challa is such an important character.
Yep.
He's such a beloved character in the comic books that I, you know, along with everyone, grieve for the loss of Chadwick Boseman. But I don't think that we should set a precedent where we're not recasting people. Yeah. I think we should be able to recast people. I think it's fine. I think we can honor Chadwick Boseman and recast him and still, you know, love his performance and know that he's like the original T'Challa, and that while no one may not live up to him, that the character still, you know, lives and evolves in the MCU and carries on these really important storylines.
Yeah.
That need to be told, or need to be told is hard, but that, you know, I would love to have told. So I really, you know, I'm really sad that we're losing T'Challa out of the MCU. And I don't necessarily care about the Black Panther mantle. I really don't.
Yeah.
Like, I love T'Challa. I love that character. I love what he meant to the world. I love what he meant to the people inside of it.
Yeah.
And so I'm really sad for that, man.
He means so much to the real world. Like, it's crazy. And like, you made the perfect point about mantles. I was about to bring it up. Like, look at the Captain America mantle. Like, you know, I'm sorry, but nobody gives a shit that Sam Wilson is Captain America. He's not the same as like Steve Rogers. Like, you know, it's not the same Captain America. You know, it's just not. It's not the same thing. And it's just that is exactly what would happen if you give the mantle to somebody else and completely kill off the character. It's like you need to keep the character. The essence is in the character, not the mantle. You're 100% right. Yeah. And while Sam gets a great story arc and everything, nobody really cares about Sam with the shield. Like, it's just, it doesn't hit the same. It's not the same thing. Absolutely
They
not.
definitely had. They needed to establish him more in Falcon and Winter Soldier. They did not do the work.
It was flat.
It was
as
very
fuck.
flat.
Yeah.
You know, Captain America, I can do this all day. We know why he does it. You know, he's from the Second World War. He had no choice. You know, he does it for all the other people.
Yeah.
I don't know why Sam's doing this. I don't know why he's a hero. I don't know why he started flying into battle, and like, what's his motivating factor? What's his Kate Bishop moment where he sees a Hawkeye character and is like, I need to do that. Like, that's my calling. Like, I don't think they did that enough for Sam Wilson, and they need to.
Yeah.
He deserves it.
He's just a soldier who gets into, you know, the Falcon program and just becomes like a wing pilot, basically, right? And then has the great like luck to meet Captain America and is just kind of brought in at the right time. Like, you know, he doesn't have a real hero arc. He's just a dude. He's a soldier who was in the right place at the right time, you know?
Yeah.
And like, yeah.
Falcon, the show probably should have been a bit of a prequel and gone into when he served, I guess during the Gulf Wars and stuff, in those wingsuits thing, and like really told the story, an origin story for how he got the wings, what he had to do, the losses and sacrifices he made during his wars that made him a veteran, and it really show and establish that he's a war hero outside of just like talking about it. Show us it.
Yeah.
They showed us it with Captain America. They showed us it with Bucky, and we love those characters. And I love Sam Wilson as a character, except I don't love him as deeply because I don't know what drives him. I don't know what his pain is. It's like like what he went through to become Falcon. Outside of what you said, it's like I ran next to Captain America at the right time.
Yeah.
Like, show us his struggle getting that wingsuit. Show us the struggle him learning how to use it. Show us that, and I guarantee you he'll be just as good of a character. Like, he'll be just as good.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And I really think that for the show in its entirety, it had way too much, like, it had way too many different sections of plot to enable Sam to really show us why he deserves to be Captain America. And it also shows like the political standpoint, because we do see like during his dialogue with what's his name, Isaac Keys, or the original Captain America,
Isaiah Bradley.
Isaiah Bradley.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Those were
those scenes.
Those were great.
So they were fantastic.
Yeah, they were the best thing in the
and
show.
it was those moments that made me believe like how important it is, or also how much of a struggle it would be for a black man to be Captain America. And I believe that, but near the end of it, it felt like the essence was slowly dwindling because we had all these other scenes and other forms of plot coming in that just really took away from that important moment of like, we're going to have our very first Black Captain America on screen. It's much like with Black Panther. When we got T'Challa on the scene, that was the very first MCU rated like black superhero that did so well and put himself on the map as like, I represent a diverse culture.
Yeah.
A new form of culture and diversity that's just so powerful. So powerful. And that's also why I don't want to see I want to see a recast, because we need to perpetuate that.
Yeah.
I want to see more of the diversity. Yeah. Like we're going to get Kamala Khan. We have Kate Bishop. Yeah. We have like different diverse characters, and it's starting to show how amazing it is to have this diversity.
Yeah. It is. And like one of the things that came up in this podcast, which I thought was, it's something that I never really thought about, just, the way it is. But, paint a picture for a second. Like, you're a 12-year-old black kid who saw Black Panther. He's become, like, your favorite superhero ever. There's somebody on the screen who looks like you, sounds like you, acts like you, has the same kind of family, same history. And then, unfortunately, the actor dies. And it's like, sorry, bro. You know, us as adults we think it's a bit too sensitive to recast the character to hurt the family and friends of Chadwick, which is terrible, of course. But you're destroying kids all over the world's lives by saying that this character now, who you've fallen in love with, who's a true representation of who you are as a person, we can't make any more movies because there was a real life tragedy where an actor died. And like, you know, that's heartbreaking to think, if like, you know, because, you know, there isn't fucking 15, 20 black like superheroes who are like the main character, like carrying franchises that are the same as T'Challa, like, you know. So it's a crazy podcast. It's fucking fantastic. Really opens the eyes. Definitely give it a go. But yeah, really good. Just like, you know, that line got me, like, it killed me. Like, I can only imagine what it would be like being 12, losing my favorite superhero, because it's like, we can't recast that superhero because the actor died in real life. It's like, wait, what? Like, you know what I mean? They can recast people all the time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I think they had a great scene in Falcon. It was like near the second to last episode where he's staying at his family's and he sees his little nephews playing with the shield, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, Captain America. I'm like, fuck, dude. Like, such a great scene because,
phenomenal.
like, I don't know what it's like to be a black person in this country. I don't know how that feels, but I can come to a conclusion about it through like scenes like that, where it's like they show it to you, like that's what it means. Is like that you don't see people like you doing this stuff, and then you do, and it means that to them that they can do it, right? Like they have role models in those roles.
Yeah.
And so it's same with T'Challa. Like,
yeah, like I've listened to plenty of YouTube videos with black creators who have said, like, you know, I didn't grow up and not like Superman because he was white. You know, I loved him because he was Superman. I didn't think about it. But then it's like, when you get that proper representation, it's different, you know, and you connect with them on a different level. And for that to be taken away from these new young kids that are getting introduced to Marvel at the right age, like, could you imagine being 12 years old, like around the time of the Tobey movies came out? Like, imagine Tobey Maguire died, and then they were like, we'll never do a Spider-Man movie again. Peter Parker's dead in the movies. Like, it's like, what? Like,
Would be devastated.
It's like, you can't do that. Like, you know, I understand them taking like a five-year break or more, 6-7 year break, because, like, you know, it's too sensitive, it's too new. But you can't just kill the character altogether. It's fucking crazy. Like, and like now's the perfect time to do it, because they've got the multiverse open and they can just bring a different Chadwick in, who is a different actor. He looks slight bit different or whatever. And they can just explain, oh, I'm from a different Earth, and in my Earth, my Wakanda has been completely destroyed. Unfortunately, your Black Panther has died of tragic whatever. And, you know, I'm here to take the mantle. I'm here to take up the position as king and be your Black Panther. Would you please accept me? Like, you know, I need another chance to rule and do right by whatever, like Atlantis or whatever, like have a war against Atlantis. It would be just perfect. Like, it really would.
I ain't trusting him. Not after Mysterio. Fuck no. Ain't happening.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
All this talk, it kind of reminds me, like, I never checked the reviews or the ratings on Luke Cage, but I really enjoyed Luke Cage. I actually thought that was a very fun show.
Second season?
I didn't watch the second season, but
Okay.
I watched the first season.
Don't just leave it there. Leave it the first season. Love the first season. Don't go pick up the second one.
I'm a big hip hop fan. I love the music. So like watching that for the first time, the first season, I was like, oh my God, I love the music. I love the Harlem vibes. Mike Coulter actually worked in the same restaurant that my sister works in, and she knows him. Like, so like, it was just amazing to like see somebody who's like a normal dude in New York, working class man in New York, get a role to be Luke Cage. I was like, this is fucking crazy. Like, but to be honest, I think it's on par with Iron Fist as like just terrible like shows for that series of shows. Like Daredevil was such high quality, Punisher was such high quality, the first season of Jessica Jones was such high quality that it's like these two shows just fell off with me. Like, they weren't as good at all. And then Defenders was awful as well.
Yeah, and I do plan on, although you guys are saying, you know, stay away, I do plan on watching them just for the sake of understanding, like, why.
I would, I would never not watch. And like, to be honest, I'll be very honest with you, to this day I still haven't seen Jessica Jones season 3. The whole thing's sitting there on Netflix. I've never watched an episode of it, but I will get around to it at some stage.
I didn't even know I got to 3 seasons.
Exactly. The 3rd season wasn't even marketed. It just arrived one day. It was so weird. It was like they knew they were done, and they were like, we actually have this finished. Let's just fucking throw it up, and if people want to watch it, they can. There was not one advertisement for season 3 of Jessica Jones.
Although I do have to say though that we did, like, for Luke Cage, we did get Mahershala Ali.
So good. Yep, Blade.
He's gonna be Blade. It's gonna be fantastic.
Yeah, but then they killed him off too early. Like,
yeah, they really did.
He was really such a good part of that show, and then like I was like, what? Like this other person's not so much. Like
what was his name? Cottonmouth?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. Yeah. No, he was brilliant. He was brilliant. And like I loved like the actor who played Luke Cage. I loved the vibes of the season. I thought it was really good, but it just wasn't as good as the other shows. And again, it's classic Marvel setting the bar too high for themselves. That when they make something that's a little less great, it just gets a bad reputation, you know, because everyone just expects that. I want a 10 out of 10 banger every fucking time that Marvel release something, and it's not realistic. Like, everybody makes mistakes, you know. Everybody releases shit at some point. So...
Everyone makes Iron Man 3. We've all been there. Like, fine.
Yeah, like, I don't really give like the Iron Man movie shit like, you know, a lot of other people. Like, I think they're good movies. Like, you know, like, and Iron Man 2 gets a lot of slack, but I think it's enjoyable. Like, you know, so
I really think Iron Man 2 is more memorable than 1.
Yeah,
like there were so many good points.
I really love in Iron Man 2 the trio of Pepper, Happy, and Tony Stark. In Iron Man 2, they come together and they're just like this light, hilarious combination of people that like it's so good, bro.
Yeah, and Justin Hammer is actually hilarious in that movie as well. I think he's great.
Oh my god,
Hammers are so good.
I'm so happy they picked Sam Rockwell.
I think he's coming back. I wouldn't be surprised to see him in there again. I think we'll see him in Armor Wars. That's where he comes back.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm down.
Oh yeah.
That dance becomes on stage.
Oh, bro, it's so good. He's like slicking out with the slick shoes on and all. He's just sliding. Michael Jackson in and out. Like, it's fucking brilliant, man. So good. And I don't know if you've ever noticed before, but you know the scene where he breaks Mickey Rourke out of the prison and he brings him to the hangar and like he's having the dinner with him. Like, it's disgusting. You can see like all this like fake tan on his hands and in between his fingers and stuff. And he's the type of guy that would sit there and like paint fake tan on him and everything. Like, you know, I thought that was a very clever like detail to have him do a bad job of putting fake tan on. Like, you know, it's like he's the type of fucking idiot that would do shit like that.
So
like, you know, yeah, it's just such a little great detail.
Holy God.
Yeah. Do you guys have any other like kind of news? Anything like Star Wars? It's been quiet. Star Wars has been very quiet lately. There's been nothing really going on. Same with DC.
A lot of things. Yeah, DC's quiet. They're probably gonna wait for the Flash before they start announcing stuff because they just had fandom, right?
Yeah.
Star Wars been like embarrassingly quiet. Yeah. It's like there's stuff going on behind the scenes that feel like there's upheaval and a lot of, you know, Patty Jenkins being pulled off her project, Ryan Johnson being pulled off his project.
Yeah.
That's a lot of like movement. And like, that's kind of like what is actually going on. Cause the only thing that really seems to be moving are the TV shows.
Yeah, I agree. There was something in the news I saw. I didn't read it, but there was something about potentially a little hint at maybe Snyder getting back involved somewhere, somehow. I don't know. If I see him coming back for anything, it's got to be another Cavill Spider-Man or Superman movie, doesn't it? Like, that's the only thing he can really do, I think.
I would think Batman, maybe.
With Affleck, like?
Yeah, I think people are dying to see Affleck.
I would love that. I would love
like a
that.
TV series?
Yeah, 6-part TV series with Ben Affleck would be unbelievable, I think. Give him his proper time. Give him his just solo him movies, like, I think would be great. Yeah, I don't know, like Star Wars is just really weird. Like, even if you think back to like Disney Plus Day, Star Wars released nothing. And they had said during the year that they're like on May 4th, like, you know, the way they do the May 4th day. May 4th was meant to be like it's Star Wars Day. They didn't release anything. And they said, keep an eye out for Disney Plus Day. We're gonna have stuff there. And then everyone's like, here we go. It's gonna be the Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer. It's gonna be amazing. The day before, they release a fucking 1-minute clip of Obi-Wan, like a little sizzle reel, and then the day before, like 2 days before that, they release a Boba Fett trailer. It's like, why would you not keep those two things for Disney Plus Day? I don't understand it at all.
I don't know.
It's insane.
Yeah.
There's got to be something going on somewhere. Like they're trying to like, I don't know if they're like trying to try and let Marvel calm down a little bit or something, and then maybe try and take the spotlight of 2022. I really don't know what the hell they're doing, but it is just it's insane. Like how could you have a Boba Fett trailer and like an interview with Ewan McGregor, and they're talking about Hayden Christensen, and like, you know, it's hype, like it's great. How could they not show that shit on Disney Plus Day? And then everybody's sitting there waiting for the Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer, and Star Wars didn't put out one clip of anything. It didn't talk about anything.
Bro,
I think it's just.
Is it Lucasfilm, do you think? Or do you think it's Disney?
I don't know. It doesn't add up at all. Like there's something going on. I don't know, maybe are they trying to like do nothing for a little while, maybe like let the dust settle, let everything go quiet, and then like announce a new trilogy or something next year. Start the next like 2022. We're gonna have like Boba Fett airing, and then they're gonna like launch Obi-Wan, and then it's like, okay, yeah, we're gonna now do another trilogy or something like that. I don't. Oh man, it breaks my heart. Like I don't know what the hell's going on.
I think they're letting Marvel spearhead the beginning of the next year, and then they're going to start putting out more content for Star Wars, because there's a lot coming out that's going to be tied to the MCU, and that they probably don't want it to be all smushed together and be like, well, expect this, expect that, and then, you know, or maybe they're trying to reconfigure where they want to place Star Wars, because they did have a lot of delays for the Marvel movies and certain shows.
Well, now I wonder, because like Doctor Strange 2 is the next movie we're getting, right? After Spider-Man. That's not till June now. So we have 6 months of 2022 where there's going to be no movies in the cinema or anything. So I wonder, is that going to be the time where, because as we come into 2022, Boba Fett will still be playing. Like they will only have seen one episode by the time it's the new year. And it's going to be Boba Fett for all of January, most of February maybe, if not all of February as well. I think there's only 6 episodes, but there might be more. I might be wrong. And then, like, you know, you could potentially jump into, I think what they're planning to do is they're planning to do a secret release of Mando Season 3. I think they're going to release it early. I think they're going to go, like, they're going to try and go back to back, because I know they were shooting the 2 shows at the same time. And I would not be surprised if they did a little secret back to back of Mando 3. We get more Luke Skywalker and everything. Everyone's hyped up to the fucking moon. And then, boom, they drop fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi in May. And then they let that run for like 6 weeks. And then Doctor Strange comes out and Marvel takes over for the rest of the year, because they've got like Moon Knight and Miss Marvel and fucking Thor and everything. Like there's loads of shit. Like, so the second half of the year seems to be like just MCU driven. But I think maybe this is the only logical thing I can think of, is that they're trying to keep the first half of 2022 to be like a Star Wars filled 6 months.
Well, I would love for that to be the case, but I just don't.
It's never going to happen.
When it comes down to, like, you know, is it planned or is it incompetence? I always fall on the side of incompetence. You know what I mean? I just don't think they got a plan over there that's working. I think things behind the scenes are falling apart.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's Lucasfilm. You know, there's rumors that's like they are too heavy-handed and these directors don't want to work with them. But if Boba Fett doesn't slap, like Boba Fett has to slap, or that entire franchise feels still dead in the water. Because that's all they got announced is coming out that we actually have footage from. And it's what? Like Boba Fett's carrying the whole show by himself? What?
Well, I don't think so. I think we're going to be getting characters like Luke is going to be in Obi-Wan, and like Grogu and stuff like that. So it's like, literally a continuation on from what we just saw at the end of Mando Season 2. So like this is being considered to be Mando 2.5. And then I think they might try and like bridge the gap between Obi-Wan with Mando Season 3. People are expecting it like Christmas 2022. I think they're going to release it in like March. Yeah.
I mean, that's why I mean it's got to slap. Like, they got to bring it. It just can't be Boba Fett walking around Tatooine, talking to his underbosses. Like, who gives a fuck? Like, seriously.
I think the show will slap. Yeah, I think it's going to be very good. Like, I think if the rumors are correct and the posters that we've seen and stuff, we're going to see Luke training Grogu. We're going to see Ahsoka and Luke and Grogu, like, forming a new Jedi Council, all this sort of thing. Like, it's going to be crazy. crazy. I think what they're trying to do is really bridge the gap and try and like lighten the blow into episode 7, if that makes sense, by having such an amazing like bridge between the two original trilogy and the sequel trilogy. And it's like, you know, trying to kind of put out a bit of a fire, I suppose.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. And just a bit of DC news that I heard. So there's been rumors going around that, so I don't know if you guys know this, but the Dublin actor who was in Eternals, Barry Keoghan, the guy who played Druid, he's gonna be in the Batman movie with Robert Pattinson. So, but he's down on IMDb as being like a cop or something, right? That's his kind of credit on IMDb. But a lot of people are saying that he's going to be the next Joker. What do you think about that?
Interesting.
I can just picture it, bro. Like, he's got such a kind of evil-looking face, and he's got really strange eyes, and I can imagine him with the makeup on and just, like, kind of being a young Joker who's just kind of snapped, like, and gone psycho and stuff, going up against, like, Robert Pattinson's Batman. Like, I think it fucking slaps, and obviously, I would love to see a Dublin man as the Joker. It'd be crazy, like, you know? Oh my god, it'd be nuts. I know we have Conor McGregor, but I mean in the movies, like not a real clown. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I think it would be fucking fantastic. So like, there's a lot of reports, a lot of rumors going around now that I think his brother, Barry Keoghan's brother, said something in an interview or something, or he posted something online mentioning the Joker, and everybody's like, oh my god, he's just let it slip that his brother's going to be the Joker. So.
Hey, dogs.
You weren't muted. It's okay though.
No!
Yeah, you were.
I muted on my OBS. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
I muted the wrong one.
I couldn't even hear the dogs anyway, so it was fine.
Oh.
Your mic did cancellation perfectly there because I couldn't even hear them.
Oh, well, there you go. They're going off. Someone knocked on my door.
Yeah, I can't hear them at all. Crazy.
Yeah,
noise cancellation, eh? But yeah,
Excuse me,
so
man. I apologize, gentlemen.
that's okay. That's okay. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, like, I'm getting more kind of hyped to see this movie as time goes on. You know, I've heard it's going to be like 2 hours 45 minutes. It's nearly a 3-hour Batman movie where he's a fucking detective trying to solve crimes. You know, it's like the Arkham games where he's just being a detective and so on. Like, it just seems like it's proper Batman content, you know? Like, he's year 2. He's in year 2 of being Batman. Like, it's literally the beginning. Like, you know, it seems like a really good, like, jumping off point. And I think if they can do it right, they've got a lot of the right characters in there at the beginning. You know, we're getting, like, Colin Farrell in to do a TV show about Penguin and stuff. So they're putting a lot of time and effort and money into growing this franchise. And that kind of makes me feel better about it, you know?
Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm excited to see Riddler. I'm excited that they're going to bring him back and you know, hopefully give him a proper start and actually make him something to be reckoned with and not something goofy, of course, because, you know, from the previous movies, yeah, it was silly, but I really want to see like the true riddles being placed out and having actual dangers occur because of it.
Did you watch the Gotham TV show?
No.
They do a really good Riddler in that TV show. The guy who plays him is a cop, and he works in like the morgue and stuff, and he does autopsies and all, but he literally, you see him starting to lose his mind and turning into the villain, but they actually do a really good job of him in that show, I think. And like, he's never referred to as the Riddler in the show. It's like, that's just, that whole show is just all about the origins of how they become who they are. Like, he's always just Edward or Enigma or whatever. Like, he's never referred to as the Riddler, like, until maybe the last season of the show. Like, so it's an interesting take on him, and I think they're gonna do a really dark and real, like, psychopathic fucking take to it. Like, you know, in the trailer you see him, he's like taping up people and, like, you know, he's like torturing people and stuff like that. Like, he looks like a proper villain. So I'm very, very curious to see how they do that, and if there's a Joker in this movie as well. Didn't even realize there would be, but if there's a Joker in this movie as well, and it's like someone like Barry Keoghan, like, holy shit, like, this could be fucking crazy, this movie. Crazy.
Yeah, I'm super excited for Batman. I really do feel like we haven't seen the main villain of the movie in any of the trailers. if it is going to be Joker, could that guy be a good Joker? Absolutely. But you know, I think it's so hit or miss with the Joker. You don't really know until you see it, right?
Yeah.
Because everyone has called it. Remember, everyone's like Heath Ledger's not going to be able to pull off the Joker, and he was fantastic.
Unbelievable.
So like I don't know if he's going to deliver or not. I really want to see it. I hope he's not like Jared Leto.
Oh God.
Hopefully.
No, you don't. I don't think so.
I also think the movie's going to be more based around the mafia and like the Falcone family and stuff, who we haven't seen on screen, but it's played by a really huge actor. And I'm pumped for it. I hope we get a really dark Batman series like this. I hope we get like 2 or 3 of these, really nice. And then like, I'm not gonna lie, I know this is a bit of a stretch here for Batman, but like, I want a little bit more lighthearted Batman in the future, right? A little, you know, Batman's not always just doom and gloom and yeah, where is she?
Yeah.
And I'm very excited for them to take it as dark as they can, and then kind of give us a more comic booky Batman that feels a little bit more lighter. Gotham's a little bit funner to be in, a little bit weirder, because it's just, man, it's so heavy. But fuck, everyone in this movie looks so good, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
it really does. And like they've already confirmed Penguin show. They've confirmed another Gotham PD show. You know, I guess they're gonna probably do more kind of spin-offs they might, like, maybe down the line, if they do 2 or 3 movies, they're probably going to introduce a Robin, if not maybe more than one, maybe a Batgirl. There is a Batgirl movie coming. I don't know if that's going to be, I think it's tied to this universe because they got a black actress to play her, and the commissioner is black in that movie as well. It's your man who played the Watcher, so it seems like that's tying into that universe as well. So there's so much coming. Like, it's crazy. It really is crazy. And like, you know, I'm scared in a way that I'm just thinking it's going to get oversaturated over time, but I don't know. It's still good now, so I'm just riding that gravy train.
Have they dabbled in Mr. Freeze at all lately, or
not really. Like, they did it in that Gotham show a bit, and he was okay. But you know, after the Arnold Schwarzenegger thing, I think that I just keep that shit out of the movies. Like, I love him in the comic books. Like, Freeze in the comic books is fantastic. He's such a dark character. He's so good. But no, I don't think that character works in the movies. Like, to be honest.
You know, I think what would be really fun to me though is having Clayface.
Yeah.
I think that would be a great one to have, because he's a shapeshifter.
Yeah.
And
he could be anybody.
Could be anybody. Yes.
Yeah. Exactly.
That would be so fun.
I love shit like that. Like, and then, like, you know, you gotta really truly see the detective skills of Batman, like his intuition and all that. Like, you know, you gotta see him really solve it. Like, you know, and then you could do like fun shit. Like, you know, Clayface could have been in like the first 2 movies as a character who you don't even know, but he just shapeshifts into himself then or whatever. You know, yeah. Like, you can have so much fun with shit like that. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fantastic. Guys, we're at the 2-hour mark, so if there's nothing else, I think we can call it quits for the week.
what a marvelous chat.
Yeah, amen.
Some marvelous chaps.
Next week, we have a new episode of Hawkeye, obviously, and then do you want to do the first Andrew Garfield movie?
Yep.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, I think that'll be really good. I'll let Kyle know. I think he said he should be here next week. He had some IRL shit he had to take care of today, so he couldn't be here today, unfortunately. But yeah, guys, if you've enjoyed the content and you're listening to us on YouTube or on Spotify, hit the like button, follow the channels, and we'll see you next week. Guys, it's
Happy
been a pleasure.
Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving,
Later,
guys. Later. Bye-bye.
Have a good one.
See ya.
Bye.